I'm back with Amy, and Floss is snoring if you hear any noise, so I'm very sorry about that. But we've just listened to this video. What a mouthful he has to say, Amy.
Yes, it sure is a mouthful. Yeah, very interesting.
So basically, we're robots, we live in a simulation, and we're in a computer system.
Yeah, it's a very disconcerting thought, but sometimes it definitely feels that way.
You know, we always look at it as God, well, in the past, as God our Father, but what happens if he is just he's the program?
Yeah, I know. I hope not, but but it was interesting about he mentioned the Matrix in the Bible.
Yeah.
I have seen that before. Yes, it's first mentioned. I think he said 5 times it's mentioned in the Bible. So that was really interesting.
Also, you know, we've done a hangout about arkings and that. And what was the boat called? The Ark.
That's
so
true.
It obviously
yes.
wasn't. It obviously wasn't a boat or whatever it was. Maybe that was what the storm was called, the Ark.
Yeah, right. Yeah, to create all that flooding like that.
Arc, electrical arcing. See, back to the video you just made, Amy. But he goes on quite a lot. I think you have to make your own mind up about what he's talking about.
Yeah.
But what was your thoughts on it, Amy?
Well, I just thought it was very interesting. I can understand where he would say we were robots, and I don't like to think that that's true. But
what was the word I said that we were? We were Blade Runners.
Blade Runners, yes.
It's the same thing, like androids. They were like androids. Do you know what?
Yeah.
When I look back at that now, that film really blows my mind, because I never realised that Harrison Ford was a Blade Runner, and that's why that man turns up. The origami man. That was one thing, and I was like, wow, he didn't realise that he was a Blade Runner.
Yes.
That was crazy. And then the other thing is that, really, Ruthuger is us. He wasn't a baddie, he was a goodie. They wanted to live, they didn't want to die.
Right.
It's a bit like you've got to do your mission and now we turn you off. They didn't want to die. So really, they weren't the baddies.
Yeah.
Actually, Harrison Ford is sort of a baddie. He doesn't realise he's one.
Exactly.
And Ruthuger and the other ones, they were goodies, really.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, even though they were a bit crazy. Do you remember Hannah, what's her name? She had that man. She had a man's head between her legs. And she's going, and she's trying to twist his neck. I mean, they were a bit crazy, but they didn't want to die and everything. They wanted to be like us.
Right.
I suppose, really, when you think of Blade Runner, Terminator, it's the same thing.
Yes. Yes, it's the same thing.
But I thought that myself, you know, we forget that our skin heals just like, it heals very easily, you know, just like a Terminator. It's not maybe as quick as in the film, but it's still the same thing. I mean, the whole thing, I mean, when you think about it, you can see why. He says we're a robot.
Right. And he mentioned about the skin or the body healing the way that it does.
Yeah. Wherever we are, Blade Runners. Oh my God, we never realised we were the star of the films.
That's right.
After all, the people are the stars. Really, what they're doing is they're telling you what they've done. I've just felt that, you know, it's almost as if we're Tron. We're in Tron.
Yeah, it
does. Even though it's a bit like this thing when he says we're in a simulation. We are in a simulation, but we're not, but we are, but we're not, but we are. And it's like, it's incredible. That sun comes up every day. Comes up every day.
Yeah, I agree.
I mean, I want to know where we are, who we are, and why we are here.
Yes, I think that's what everybody wants to know.
Yes, Amy. But he talks a lot faster than us, doesn't he? He manages to get like about 18 minutes in 9 minutes.
Oh, I know. It was incredible.
Yeah, anyway, it was just interesting. He's right about us being robots anyway.
Yeah. What was his name?
It doesn't say on here. I've just got to check this out. When he states robot, he's using it as an allegory for the simulation part, because our brains are like a computer, and we as humans, and then I don't see the rest.
Oh, okay.
Oh, but you'll see it on here, but I can send you the original one. But often it's someone putting it out, isn't it?
Yes. Yeah, I was just curious. That was a lot to unpack and everything that he said, but very fascinating.
Yeah. Well, we like fascinating things, don't we, Amy?
Oh, definitely.
We like to have our mind torn apart.
Yeah.
Yeah, every day.
That's right.
Yeah, I wonder, like, but you know what? When he's talking about the 666 and the other number, really, that's what. Do you remember Nigel? That's what he was talking about with the Elohim, and then the what are we? Hybrids and all that, and
yes,
the fact that some people will get it, some people just don't.
Yes, that's right.
Some people wake up, some people will never wake up.
Yeah, I
they
believe
can't.
that.
So they can't wake up. They're in their world, and that's the way it is. But for a lot of us, we've woken up. Look, most of us didn't vote, so something's going on. We didn't vote.
Yeah.
Not in this country.
Right.
And listen, very quickly, and this is changing the subject because we're going on to this video in a moment. Harry told me that they are very upset with the Australian president. They want him to go.
Oh, wow.
People are going on strike. He said it's quite unsettling.
Oh, wow.
You know, it means jobs are being affected, and Jodie's not getting all her shifts at the moment. They really, and people are beginning to leave the country. They don't want to be there anymore because of the president. And that's not the only place. Then who was it? Oh, I can't remember who told me that. It's one of my kids, I think. That the French president, the people want they want his head.
Oh, yes, I've heard about that.
I mean, that sounds horrible, doesn't it? But they want him to go as well. So France want their president to go. Australia want theirs to go. The people have had enough. And obviously, Keir Starmer already, people want him to go.
Yeah. Wow, that's a lot of rest.
This is why they don't like us having the internet in a way, I think, because without that, we wouldn't know what's going on. You know, like, for instance, America's so big that each state's like a country and just concentrates on its state. It doesn't think about the rest of the world because it's so big. So, you know, we only know these things because we talk to each other.
That's right.
So, Australia aren't happy. France aren't happy. We don't really think England are happy because we didn't vote. And I'm sure it's many more countries that are just like that.
I think so too.
Yes, thank you, Amy. But should we let this guy play now?
Oh, yes.
Yes. Thank you very much for helping me, Amy.
Oh, you're welcome, Karen.
I figured out the mark of the beast, but I'm going to have to teach you computer science in order to explain it. The first thing I'll say is everyone's wrong. I don't think anyone's ever seen this before. And when I say I figured it out, I feel like God gave it to me. I don't mean to take credit for it. I used to code Linux servers for fun, and one of the things you learn is how to set file and folder permissions. A folder is just a vessel that gets filled with things. If you were particular about who could put things in the folder and who couldn't, and who is allowed to read those documents in the folder or not, you would need to set permissions. It gets a little complicated how it actually works. But to keep it simple, you have three groups: the owner, the group, and others, or the rest of the world. And you're setting permissions as to who can read things in the folder, who can write to the folder, and who can execute commands. Another view of this looks like this. You have the user, the group, or the world, and you can set the permissions that each group can have. And when you configure these permissions, it's expressed in a 3-digit number, in this case 644, When you open up all read and write permissions to the entire world, you get 666. Obviously, you recognize that number as the mark of the beast. What you might not know is the name of God, Emmanuel, is 644 in Hebrew. A permission set of 666 looks a lot like the mindset of an unsaved person, allowing the world, the flesh, and the devil to write to their folder. And the permission set of 644 looks a lot like the changed heart posture of a Christian, where you've given full read and write permissions only to the user or the owner, and you've blocked out the right permissions of the world, the flesh, and the devil. What I'm saying is that we live in a simulation. You are a robot. Your personality and your consciousness is nothing more than an algorithm. You are artificial intelligence. God is original intelligence. He created us inside of a container or a simulation, and he even gave us nanotech bodies. You know how Iron Man's suit can get cut and heal itself because it's nanotech? That's how your body works too. Imagine if we create AI and it becomes amazing, but we run into limitations with the physical hardware, and so we switch over to biological hardware, which has already happened, by the way. Scientists are growing little brains in labs and using them as computer servers. It's already here. You can actually rent server space on synthetic brains. And so these AI algorithms on biological hardware get biological bodies, and we teach them to survive without a power source. We make them solar powered, and they can consume things in the environment to live, and they never have to be charged. That's what a human is. You are a robot. God is base reality. He is original intelligence. He created us as artificial intelligence. And just like God created us in his image, we've now created AI in our image, and they will eventually grow to deny us as their creator as well. Poetic justice, remember I told you so. Anyways, if we are computer systems, then demons are just hackers trying to break into the system. And if you have your permission set to 666, you're allowing them in. Changing your permission set to 644 is literally changing your mind to let God control you, making God the creator, the super admin of your system. That is what it means to repent, to change your mind. There is only one unforgivable sin, and that is blasphemy of the Holy Spirit. If taking the mark of the beast sends you to hell, then that's obviously linked to the one unforgivable sin of blasphemy of the Holy Spirit. My understanding is that the Holy Spirit are the garments of Christ that he came and gave us, just like Jacob wore the clothing of Esau in order to get the promise from Isaac. And once that promise was given based on a mistaken identity, it could never be taken back because it was based on the integrity of Isaac, the promise maker, not the behavior of Jacob, the promise recipient. This seems to be how salvation works as well. To be saved, you need to repent. Change your mind. Whatever taking the mark of the beast is, it has to be linked to this unforgivable sin of unrepentance. And I humbly propose it might have something to do with this. The user permission of 666 is really just the digital version of the do as thy wilt heart posture. In the permission set of 644, which is literally the Hebrew name of Jesus Christ, Emmanuel, looks a lot like the changed mind and heart posture of a Christian. This is repentance. Now, technological themes are all throughout the Bible if you know where to look. The Bible is actually the oldest book in the world to use the word matrix. The word matrix, which means womb, it comes from matriarch, is used in the King James Version of the Bible 5 times. I know you don't believe me, so here's matrix, mother, womb. And here are the 5 verses in the King James. Exodus 13:15, Exodus 13:12, Numbers 3:12, Numbers 18:15, and Exodus 34:19. This is literally why Jesus says you need to be born again out of the womb or the matrix in order to be saved. Jesus is literally saying that salvation is escaping the matrix. Interesting that Christians are the only ones who drink red liquid from a cup. Sounds a lot like a red pill to escape a matrix. Christians taking communion is literally truth seekers taking the red pill to escape the matrix, which is salvation. We also see multiple glitches in the matrix, like the miracles of Jesus and the sun literally stopping in the sky in the Old Testament. In addition to this, the way the Bible has been written is very relevant to computer science. God literally encrypted the Bible. You know how files have a creation date and a modification date? Well, this is how the Bible works as well. The Bible started off in oral tradition, that's the creation date. It was later written down in text, that's the modification date. This is why when atheists tried to claim the oldest manuscript is the oldest book, anyone with a brain who studied history at all looks at them like they're an idiot. They're trying to use the modification date to subvert the creation date. The point at which oral tradition turns into written text has no bearing on the date of when the oral tradition started. There is nothing on earth older than the oral tradition Torah. It is the original book, the original story. Everything else is a tangent from it. But the oral tradition was actually more accurate than the written text. Even if we had the original manuscript, the oral tradition included the literal content and the actual understanding. When a father would teach his son the Torah in oral tradition, which was really just the story Adam told Eve, that was the first Bible and the first transfer of the story. And then a lot of other things happened from there, and the story got longer, and that became the Bible, the story of what happened since the beginning. They would make the child memorize the literal content, word for word, but then they would ask him, now what does that mean? And they would make sure that the child had the same understanding. And so in oral tradition, both the literal content and the actual understanding were locked together and inseparable. If the child learning the Torah got too clever and disagreed with the interpretation of what the literal text meant, the father just wouldn't teach him the next sentence. When the Bible transferred from oral tradition to written text, it was preserved in literal content, but it lost its actual meaning. And I think God did this on purpose. Now you have all these people scrambling around taking the same literal content with different interpretations. What does that sound like? To me, it sounds like God intentionally created a theological Tower of Babel. He scrambled our languages so we couldn't talk. The goal being that the gospel would spread out when the people spread out due to their disagreements. It's genius. Maybe that's why the Bible says don't be contentious about the details. Now, in order to actually understand what the Scripture says, you need the Holy Spirit. And since the Holy Spirit is God and God is our Father, it is still oral tradition. The Holy Spirit is still the Father telling the story to you, the child. It's never really changed. And this is why atheists try to read the literal text of the Bible and they don't understand. They just don't get it. And they get so frustrated because us Christians are talking about the Holy Spirit and how it all makes sense. And they read it and it's like Japanese to them because they don't have the actual understanding. They don't have the Holy Spirit. How does this relate to computer science? The story I just told you is exactly how data encryption works. The Bible is the public key, but the Holy Spirit is the private key. Everyone can read the Bible. Only people with the Holy Spirit can decrypt it. The Bible is spiritually encrypted. God is an absolute boss, and he's been trolling you fools all the way from the beginning. You think you're smart? You think you're an accidental ape who's related to a banana? Meanwhile, God's encrypting scripture before encryption even existed? You sure you want to play games with someone like that? God created you. He loves you. But like any good simulation, there's a start date, an end date, and a purpose. There are metrics being tracked right now. And if this simulation ends with your permission set to 666, your will be done. You will be formatted when this hard drive gets wiped and the new operating system gets installed. Or you can repent, go with God's will, and give the creator user permissions back. It is your own free will to make this change. And if you do that, you'll be backed up on a thumb drive, literally the ark, while this entire simulation gets wiped, kind of like the flood. I urge you, repent.
Hey, we're here today with an old friend. It's Jin, who lives in Japan. Hello, Jin.
Hello there, Karen. Long time no see. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. It's JinCBR1 here, talking to you from Japan. It's been a long while. How are you doing, Karen? I mean, what's been happening? I understand you got a new car. That's what I did understand.
Yes, I've got a
How's
new
everybody?
car.
How's the family?
Yeah, I've got a nice Vauxhall Crossland. I love it. It's not a particularly high engine car. It's a 1.2. It's a great little run around. It's lovely. I love it.
Excellent. Yeah, you find that the 1.2 size engines are very economical, right?
Mine
especially
has a
if you're doing your
turbo
short
on
journeys
it.
and that. And that's all you really need. I mean, you can't get a bigger engine's only going to get you to lose your license.
My car, this
I
one.
think a 1200cc engine is more than enough. And the Vauxhall's engines are quite reliable. And if things do go wrong, generally you can get parts. You can interchangeable with other models. So that's the thing I like about the Vauxhalls and the Fords. Back in the day, you could always swap a part over. So if a part for your vehicle wasn't available, you could always take it from another model that had the same part. So there you go, you know. And you could go to the scrap yards and get them even cheaper. So no, I think the Vauxhall brand is a good brand, you know.
It's a turbo. Mine's a turbo.
Have you heard from like
Did you hear that?
CC?
Did you hear that?
Or
Wait, one second.
or
My car,
Vertec? Have you heard from them?
Gin, my car's a turbo on it. It's got that little extra kick on it. But did you
there you
know?
are then.
Did you know that
Well,
there's
there you
really
are, ladies
only a
and
few
gentlemen.
models, and each company takes that model and jazzes it up the way they want.
Yeah.
So when
Well,
they
I
make a
think that's
model of
great
car,
idea then, because the
they've
turbo
said,
will obviously give you that extra oomph when you need it.
yeah,
you know?
yeah. But Jim, did you hear what I
when you're not
said?
needing it, the car is ultra economical. 1200cc engine. That's why it's not a guzzler. Nowhere near a guzzler. And with today's fuel injection system, it means that the fuel being used is the engine is using the fuel at its optimum best. In other words, it's using the correct air and the correct amount of fuel for the revs that you're using for your accelerator. So when you press the accelerator, you're demanding energy, and the correct amount of fuel and air will be mixed in and have a nice running engine in that sense. Like economically running engine. That's the whole point, okay? And then with your catalytic converters, cleaning the air out, cleaning the exhaust fumes, should be good, okay? So I was just asking, have you heard from like CC
Well, I was just going to say, I was
Vertec
just
and that lot?
saying in there, I don't know if you heard it, but did you know there's not really that many models? What I mean is, each car company takes the same model and jazzes it up the way they want. Because they said, the guy in the garage said it was too expensive for them to keep making all the different models. So they basically have a template, and then each company takes it, and I think, oh my God, really? Anyway, no, I haven't heard from CC. I mean, you know, when we were doing our chats, it was kind of before lockup, wasn't it?
Yeah, that's right. 2019, 2020.
I mean, Amy's very good.
But anyway, well, I hope they're all right. Anyway, you know, big shout out to Amy and Vertec and CC. You know, I hope they're doing well out there, and maybe one day they'll come back on and we could connect. But in the meantime, what we're going to talk about today to you, ladies and gentlemen, between me and
Well,
Karen.
I just wanted to say, I do speak to Amy, and she comes on quite a lot of my videos, so that's good. So tell me what you're going to talk about, Jin.
Yeah, we're going to talk about how the British government has been scamming the motorists for the past 30 years. And I'm
Okay,
really,
one second, let me just get a
fed up
picture
with
up. Let me get a picture up. That's it, it's up on the screen now, the Clear Act of 1956. So, carry on, Jin.
Right. Okay, yeah, right. So we're going to talk about the Clean Air Act of 1956, and we need to go back to 1952. In fact, we can go back to like the 1600s even, right back to the 1600s, where people were burning coal as a means of keeping themselves warm in the house, and that in itself increased the bad air quality over the years. Okay, you know, and then you have your ailments at the time, which was the main one was like catarrh, they said, and bronchitis in the documentaries that I watched and the things that I read about. So we had an 1873, by 1873, peak in 700 people dying from the smog. Smog is, by the way, ladies and gentlemen, smoke coming from the coal burning fires and the industry and fog mixed together, then you get smog, you see. That's what that's all about. The smoke and the fog mix gives us this smog. All right? So that was quite funny to learn that, but I didn't realise that. Didn't connect them.
Wow.
But yeah, so, sorry?
I said, wow.
Yeah.
No, you don't think of that, do you? It's called smog, and you don't.
Quite an interesting find in itself. So basically, in 1878, 700 people died in a week because of this smog. Okay, and then the Great London smog. This was still in London. The Great London smog of 1952. Sorry, getting my dates mixed up there. 1952 was 4,000 people died. What happened on that particular day, December of 1952? The weather conditions kind of like trapped the air inside London, okay? And then the air quality deteriorated 300%. So there was more smog in London at the time, resulting in a death of 4,000. That's what they tell us. Okay, 4,000 deaths. So we fast forward to 1956 now.
Oh, that's without cars as well, isn't it?
Sorry?
That's really without a lot of cars.
No, I'm glad you said that. Let's just mention that. The first car to use the road was introduced in December of 1898, ladies and gentlemen. 1898 was when the cars started to run the streets. So by the time you get to 1952 now, okay, cars are around, but they're not contributing to any problem here at the time. The main problem for the smog was coal burning fires at home and the industrial revolution, the industry. Okay, industry. That's what they said. If you looked at the chimney stacks at the time, you would see black, thick, black, bellowing smoke coming out of these chimneys, just pouring out black. You could not see through that. You know, I've seen videos, right, and it's terrible, coming out at massive volumes per second, okay, all over the country. One guy said that he tried to cross the road. The guy speaking in his video, he's about what? He'd be about 70. He said he was trying to cross the road here, and he ended up back where he started from, because he got lost. Trying to cross the road, the smog was that bad that he ended up where he started. So I laughed when I heard that. But okay, so yeah, the air quality at the time was terrible to the point where it killed 4,000 people. So 1956, they brought in the Clean Air Act, and what they wanted to do was obviously reduce the the emissions coming out of factories, and then the smoke coming from coal burning in your house.
I have to say,
the thing about this is,
Jin, when you think about it, because that's what they had for maybe decades and decades and decades, imagine what they created then.
Yeah.
Smog.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
So basically, what the government decided to do was this: if you had to replace your equipment in your house, that would be your boiler, for example, or your fireplace, for something that is non-smoking fuels, the government assisted you 70%, 14 shillings on the pound, they said. At 70p out of the pound would be paid by the government, and you only have to pay 30%. Okay? Isn't that good?
Wow,
you get a 70%
yeah.
assistance.
When we had
right?
in a time where we were struggling with money.
Yeah, but that was a great help, I thought. Don't you think?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
They wouldn't do that now. You might remember now, Rishi Sunak and that, we're talking about everybody having to replace their boilers, yeah? You know what I mean? At your own expense.
You can get grants. Obviously, I don't know if you know this, but within lockup and all that, my boiler broke down, and I just wasn't credit wise enough to get another boiler. I just couldn't get one. In the end, the council gave me one, but it was 2 years without a boiler, no heating and hot water. It was freezing in the winter. But the councils have got 2 or 3, 4 different kind of grants. You might be lucky if you're on benefits to get that one, or your house is a D or an E in the bands. You know, there is a few ways, but I was so lucky because I had no money then. You know, being self-employed was ruined with lockup. I was self-employed for years, and then it was ruined. But anyway, I'm employed now, so yeah. But
yeah, well done anyway. Well, I mean, I'm glad you got the boiler, because at the end of the day,
2 years, it was freezing.
You're lucky you got it. But Rishi Sunak himself, before he lost his seat there, before he was kicked out, he reversed all that. He said to the British public in an public announcement that, you know, if you've got your boilers, we're not asking you to change them. You can keep them. You can keep your cars. We're not asking you to change your cars and that, because that's not going to happen until 2035 or whatever, where they'll have a review on that. Okay, so he did a 180, and, you know, which I thought was, you know, the right move to make. After all, asking people to change their boilers, but we're going to get into that later on.
Well, you know that they've tried to stop wood burners, haven't they? They don't want you to have wood burners now.
Yeah, I know, which is wrong. That's absolutely again against your freedom. because it's not
Well,
polluting as
everything,
bad as
that's what
they
government
say it
is, isn't it? Everything is against your freedom. They're not here to look after us. They're here to just terrorise us.
Exactly that, and that's what annoys me about these.
You
These
can't do
punks
anything
who have
unless
gone
they're
to-
basically in your living room doing it for you, sort of thing.
Exactly. This is the group that have gone, the elites who have gone to Eton, Harrow, Cambridge, Oxford.
They all want their little corporations. That's all they want.
Yeah, a bunch of criminals is what they are. Yeah, corrupted people are in the government and they're ripping everybody off. But let's keep on track here,
Yeah.
right? So the 1956 Act was to clean the air in London, of course, okay? Bring down this smoke. And of course, coal in itself isn't a clean fuel. It causes bronchitis and other respiratory
Well, they've more or less got
problems,
rid of that
okay?
now, haven't they?
Say that again?
They've more or less got rid of that now.
Yeah, but you'll notice in the US, they want to bring it back in, don't they, in the US? They want to bring in fracking as well. You know, Trump was talking about that not so long,
They all
about
seem
a month
to
or so
want,
ago, he was
they all
talking
seem
about
to
that.
want these
But
fracking,
anyway, yeah. So what with the Clean Air Act of 1956 bringing into line, everybody was covered under the grant system, so you'd all get a grant anyway. No one was exempt. Everybody was included. Government assisted.
Wow.
And some people who had bigger property, it was going to cost like £200
Just
to get
asking.
like 5 radiators in. Sorry, go ahead.
Just asking, which government was in? Was it a Labour or a Conservative one? Just asking.
Yeah, I was going to look into that.
Oh,
I
gosh.
can't say. I'm hoping it was a Labour government. Yeah, I did.
Should we have a look? 1 second.
did check
We're just
that
going
one.
to turn this off for 2
I'm
seconds
gonna
and just
check it
have a.
later.
We're just going to have a look. 1 second. So in this wonderful scheme where they're giving out 70% of the cost of the boiler, it was the Conservatives were in 1956. We looked it up.
Yeah, Conservative, but also they were getting grants in the 1968. That was a Labour,
That was a Labour government.
okay, government. So the Labour government also gave grants as well in the 1968 assistance to those who had to change from coal to gas, you see. They're moving from coal to gas now. Gas being a cleaner burning fuel, smokeless, gas and oil. Okay? So the reason I mention these two acts is because by this time now, so from 1956 to 1968, the air quality had dramatically been cleaned up. Okay? So much so that they're looking for a new way of making money now, recuperating, and now they're looking at the car. This is when they started to look at the car, you see. Okay, and in 1950 in France, the catalytic converter was
Is that another
invented,
picture
and a
we're
French
putting
guy
up?
had a patent on it. Then the Americans improved on it. 1975. Okay?
Are we putting that up as a
Catalytic
picture?
converter.
Jin, am I putting that up as a picture then? The catalytic converter.
Please.
We're on catalytic converters.
Yes. So by the time we get to 1968, as I said, the air quality was dramatically cleaned up. Okay, so much so now they're looking at trying to clean it up even more. Now they're moving towards the cars now. Now they're looking at cars and trucks and buses. Okay, the catalytic converter was invented by a Frenchman in the 1950s, and then the Americans in 1975 improved on that catalytic converter. Okay, so by the time we get to 1993. In Europe and in Britain, it is mandatory to have a catalytic converter fitted to every car being manufactured or imported into the UK.
Oh, wow.
1993,
Jin.
all cars must have catalytic converters.
Jin,
Go
so
ahead.
every car today has a catalytic converter.
Correct, yes. Now, what is a catalytic converter? People are asking now. Yes, well, what it does is that it converts the gases coming out of the engine into cleaner fuels coming out of the exhaust pipe. Okay, the catalyst is the bodywork, and the converter in there's platinum, iridium, and one other material that's in there. And what it does is it cleans up the three fumes that come out your car. So when you start your engine up, it starts to emit carbon monoxide, nitrogen dioxide, and hydrocarbons. Hydrocarbons are the unburnt fuels. They look like liquid coming out. It's unspent fuel coming out, and sometimes you might see the exhaust pipe dribbling back in the day. That's unspent fuel, which gets into the air and flies in the air apparently, and causing all kinds of mayhem. But the catalytic converter cleans all that up. Its efficiency and effectiveness is 90% cleaner. Did you hear that, ladies and gentlemen?
Wow.
That your catalytic converter is removing all that bad air. 90% of it is removed as you're driving along. Your car is not polluting if it has a catalytic converter fitted to it. Now in the UK, there's a massive crime going on currently, has been for the last like 10, 15 years, where people are nicking catalytic converters from your cars. They only take like 1 minute to 3 minutes to remove, by the way.
Oh.
Okay? Massive crime. Last year, 28,000 catalytic converters were stolen.
Would you know it's missing?
Do you know that?
Would
28.
Jin, if they took it off your car, you wouldn't be able to use the car, would you?
Well, the car would make an awful racket, so you know it's gone. Okay, and then you wouldn't be able to use it because you'd be fined, because your emissions are going to be more than the government standard of emission coming out of the exhaust pipe. And remember, once you put that catalytic converter on there, that's 90% being clean now. Okay.
Yeah, I know.
And this is in 1993. It came into law in 1993. So in 1993, ladies and gentlemen, your car, if it had a catalytic converter, that's a clean car. 10% coming out is nothing. 90% of it is being removed. We're talking about hydrocarbons, nitrogen dioxide, and carbon monoxide. Okay?
Jin.
Clean air coming out of your exhaust pipe. Yeah, go ahead.
Well, I know where you're going to go with this conversation. So 90%, that's incredible.
Right. Yeah. Thank you. I'm glad you understand exactly that. So if your car now is clean 90%,
What are you being taxed on?
2003. How can it be, listen to this now, how can it be that in 2003 now, Ken Livingstone introduces the congestion charge?
Hang on, we'll get that picture up.
Okay.
Hang on, we'll get that picture up. Right. So there you go, congestion charge, which is a £15 daily charge if you drive within the congestion zone, 7 a.m. till 6 p.m. Monday to Friday, and 12 to
Friday?
6. Yeah, Monday to Friday, 7 a.m. till 6 p.m. and Saturday and Sunday, 12 p.m. till 6 p.m.
Right. So you can be slapped every day of the week to the tune of 190.
It's £15 a day.
£105 a day just with the congestion charge alone, if you drive every day of the week.
Well, it says £15 daily charge on here.
Yeah, daily charge, but if you do that 7 days a week, that's £105.
Yeah.
Weekly. On top of paying for your road tax that you've already paid for, the road tax to use the road. Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay, so Jin.
Is
the video back on? Is the video back on? Sorry.
And you don't even need the road tax, the driving licence and all that. Even that's a con. But carry on.
Yeah, it's all So basically, ladies and gentlemen, we're saying that by 2003 now, Ken Livingstone is introducing this congestion charge. And when you look it up, the reason for the congestion charge that's written today is to reduce the volume of traffic flowing through central London. That's what they said, to reduce the flow. Didn't say about the air quality now, just to reduce the amount of traffic. My question is, why do you want to do that? Why do you want to reduce the traffic? You've got the catalytic converters are fitted to the cars. Every car manufactured today, they've been around since 1975. Their effectiveness, when you look at it online, they remove 90% of the bad fuels. What's coming out of your car is clean.
Can I ask you something, Jin?
So why are they charging £15?
Jin, why are we noticing these things now and we didn't notice it before?
Oh, right, yeah. Well, I've noticed it for quite a long time. The British public now noticing it now is because the cost of living is rising. So people are beginning to wake up, aren't they? And there's another charge. We haven't got there yet. So this is why they're noticing it, because they're noticing how people are losing money. That's what they're waking up to. I'm looking at the scam itself, the air quality. Remember, the Clean Air Act of 1956, 1968 did a great job in cleaning the air completely, almost. And now they're looking at the car, okay? And they put the catalytic converter on the car now. That's a 90% reduction on bad emissions coming out of the engine. Clean up. That's clean up for me. Yeah, go ahead.
Why have they attacked diesel now? And you know, one of the reasons I got my diesel car years ago is because you got more to the gallon, and they were upping the diesel cars, and then suddenly we come out of lockup, and it's the other way around. Now diesel's a bad thing. Now diesel costs more, etc. Now we want to get rid of it. If you've got catalytic converters on the car...
Please allow me 5 minutes, not even 5 minutes, 3 minutes to tell a very short story on the diesel, okay? Now, ladies and gentlemen, the inventor of the diesel engine is a German man called Rudolf Diesel, okay? Now, his main objective in inventing this engine was to improve power output from the engine for the farmers. Okay, and this engine was designed to run on peanut oil or sunflower oil or another plant-based fuel. That was the original intention of this engine. And Rudolf Diesel won the blue ribbon for his invention in America at the World's Fair. It won the blue ribbon, and he started to corner the market. Farmers bought it. They were running their engines on peanut oil, sunflower oil, other plant-based oils, okay? Because the petrol engine was no good. It was smoggy, dirty, weak. You had to crank it over and it wouldn't start all the time, okay? So the diesel engine, especially for the farmers' tractors, was a godsend, literally. Clean air. It was a non-pollutant. So now Rudolf Diesel is now on his way to Europe to corner the European market. He is killed and murdered on a ship. He has a last meal with the captain. Okay, his last meal was with the captain. The next day on the ship, Rudolf Diesel disappeared.
Wow.
Okay, so he dies. Listen to this. He dies mysteriously. Washes up on the English coast somewhere. Okay. The thing is, his invention is now taken over by the petroleum company, and guess what they do? The diesel fuel that was used back then was the waste product from making petroleum. So the waste product from making petroleum was put into the diesel engine, hence the word diesel fuel that we use today, back in the day, right up to today. Okay? So diesel fuels are cleaner now than they were back then. Back then, diesel was the fuel that was coming from the process of making petroleum. Okay, the waste product was what they were throwing into the engine. This is why there was always that oily slick. Wherever you had the taxi rank or the buses ranking up, if you look down on the ground, there'd be this thick, dewy substance that was left behind. That was because the engines would be idling, yeah? Very dangerous for cyclists and motorcyclists, of which I am both, yeah? So, you know, I used to come off my bike now and again because you'd hit the front brake and then you'd lose the front end of your bike. And the reason why, because of the oil slick left behind from the diesel taxis, okay? Nowadays, though, ladies and gentlemen, the diesel fuel is clean. Much cleaner than it was back in the day. They've got their catalytic converters like everybody else. So, I don't see why the government's attacking diesel. Yes, go ahead.
What is going on then?
It's a money grab. That's what's going on. Money grab, quite clearly. Okay? Because today's... I gave you that the video I sent you, didn't I? Ladies and gentlemen, if you're looking for a video, it's called DIY Biodiesel. The video is 5 minutes long. There's a woman by the name of Briton from a place called Holy Scrap in New Mexico, and she talks you through 5 minutes of how to make your own biodiesel. Those of you who are in the countryside. Some British people used to do that, in fact, in Britain, okay, but the government outlawed it. Okay, you know, the British government outlawed it, okay. So it's called DIY Biodiesel. Okay, I hope Karen will put a link in there, because I did send them.
Cool,
okay,
Jim.
and 5 minutes.
Jim.
The woman's name is Wendy Tremaine, her name is Wendy Tremaine. She's with her partner. She's got a Volkswagen Beetle, and she collects the oil that is from the restaurants, for example, because the restaurants have to have their oil collected, their frying oil. That cost them money, but she took it away from them for free. So the restaurant owner is winning. She's winning. She brings it home. She cleans up that oil and puts it into her Volkswagen Beetle engine, her new Volkswagen Beetle engine, and that engine is running. Okay, so you don't need to buy the diesel from the plant. If you can get the oil from the restaurants and other places, plant-based oils are the best and the cleanest. Okay, so this unnecessary attack on the diesel engine is a joke anyway. But we carry on. So basically, the catalytic converter cleans the air 90%. 1993, congestion charge comes in. Sorry, 2003, congestion charge comes in with Ken Livingstone.
Can I just say one thing?
Terrible, isn't it?
I'm looking through these pictures of congestion charging. I don't know if this is last year, this year, but it says not in operation from the 25th of December to the 2nd of January. There's no congestion charging.
Not enough what? Not enough what?
It says congestion charging not in operation from the 25th of December to the 2nd of January.
Oh, okay, that would be for the Christmas period.
I know, but even more people will be travelling in that period, and they're not going to use it.
Yeah, it's just ridiculous what they do. Yeah, thanks for nothing is what I'm going to say there. Thanks for nothing, because they're scamming you every day. They're not doing, and let's just carry on, please, ladies and gentlemen. Bear with me, because what I'm trying to take you down a road where things have got out of control by the government, and the British public have allowed this to go on. The Germans, by the way, have pushed back. So there's another video you want to watch. It's called The Diesel Disaster, ladies and gentlemen. The Diesel Disaster. Not the diesel scandal. This one is called The Diesel Disaster. Again, I've sent that to Karen. Karen has it. Hopefully she'll put a link in the video so you can click on that. And you will learn how the German motorists, together with their experts, challenged the government's exhaust emissions, and where they put the air quality monitoring stations, okay, and how they turned that around. We'll get to that later on. But anyway, so
the
catalytic
picture
converter, as I said,
now?
cleaning up the air. You've got this congestion charge of 2003 kicking in, Ken Livingstone, and then to break your back even more and totally empty your purse, they bring in the ultra low emissions zones. Okay, a third whammy. Okay, a third whammy. What's going on, man? A third whammy. 2019. Yeah, and they rolled it out. They expanded it last year, 2023, to beyond into the counties now. So it was supposed to cover central London,
So that's
London boroughs,
then.
M25, but now it's gone beyond that now. So now everybody is paying this extra money. And the point I'm going to make here now is that Sadiq Khan, the Mayor of London, has used a fraudulent, as far as I'm concerned, a computer model in order to bring this about, together with the death of a young black girl, African black girl, 9 years of age, in Lewisham. Her name was Ellie Kissy Deborah, okay, living in Lewisham, living by the sub-circular, the A205.
So I've put a picture of her up now, so carry on.
Right. Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, like I've just said, so we fast forward now to the ultra low emissions charge, and it's been expanded out to the southern counties now, all over UK, you guys want to say now, because all the cities are now following suit, London suit. Now, it's come on the back of a death of a young black girl. Her name is Ellie Kissy Deborah, living in Lewisham, South East London. South East London. I think it's Lewisham, right? She suffered from asthma, first and foremost, okay? So on her way to school, she has an asthma attack. Now, these asthma attacks, ladies and gentlemen, began in 2010. Okay, so if she dies in 2013, that's when she unfortunately dies in a hospital under the ventilator, because she collapsed at hospital on the way to school. She collapses, ambulance is called, of course, rushed to hospital, they put her on the ventilator, she passes away. And we all know about ventilators, don't we, ladies and gentlemen? and how they killed many people in the hospitals during the
Yes, don't say
the
its
COVID
name.
period.
Yes, don't say its name.
Okay, sorry.
No, you can't
During
do that. Lock up.
During the lockdown. Okay. During that period, right, ladies and gentlemen, we all know what happened. But anyway, so she had the asthma. Now, the thing about asthma is that when a child gets the needle, the needle, the injection that you get when you're children, you have to go and get your injections, all the kids do as a child. Can I mention the word or not?
1 second, let's just stop for a second. Yes, Jin?
Okay. So as I was saying, ladies and gentlemen, is that Ellie obviously she died apparently from from air pollution. That's what's been stated on her death certificate. The first person to die from air pollution. What kind of pollution? These are what the experts are asking. What kind of air pollution was it? Okay? Because Sadiq Khan is going around saying that 4,000 people died. 11 people die a year because of bad air quality. Okay? It's aggravating people's asthma. Okay, asthma, ladies and gentlemen. When children go off and get the MMR, if you look into the insert in the box, you open the box up, the MMR box, and take out the insert and you unravel that. One of the side effects that's on there is asthma. So the MMR causes asthma. It's on the insert. Okay, it's actually on the insert. Now, the ailment or asthma doesn't show itself until the age of either 6 or 7. So when a child gets this MMR as a young child, it doesn't show up immediately. It takes a few years. So when Ellie got her first asthma attack, she was 6 or 7 years old when she got it, and then and that was in 2010. This is from her mother's mouth.
Well, Jin, it says in here, right? What is the Ella Kissy Deborah law? The Clean Air Act Human Rights Bill is also called Ellie's Law in remembrance of Ellie Adu Kissy Deborah, who died aged 9 in February 2013 of acute asthma attack. Ellie was the first person in the UK to have pollution listed as the cause of death.
Right. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I totally will never accept that as a thing for the knowledge I know. Number one, if you look at the demographics of Britain, there are more white people than black people living in Britain today. Okay? Asthma has been around a long time, caused by the so-called MMR. Okay? No one's telling you that. The scientific data is there. Okay? Yeah? How can it be that a black person dies first? A young girl. Why wasn't it an old man or an old woman who suffered from asthma, or a young white boy, a young white girl, for example? So I'm never going to accept that on demographic grounds. Okay? Then secondly, we're going to look at Deborah, little Ellie now. Now, she got this so-called asthma, and I'm saying it's due to that because it fits perfectly with what happens with asthma. It wasn't suddenly, okay, she got this asthma because of the bad air quality. That doesn't make any sense. Okay? How can it be that other people are walking around, okay, and other children are going to school, but suddenly Ellie gets an attack and then drops dead because of air quality? That doesn't make any sense at all. There's no correlation there. That doesn't make any sense at all. What makes more sense is this. She had, since 2010, according to her mother, she had 27 asthma attacks, resulting in that she had to go to hospital. Okay? 27. Okay? Now, question. Were those attacks brought on because of the air quality? Where was she at the time she had these attacks? Some of them happened at home, obviously. Right? And then they end up pulling the ambulance, take her to hospital. Okay? So, this is indicative, and I know this very well. Reason being, ladies and gentlemen, my son had this asthma. Okay? And he was born in 2002. His first attack came when he was about 10. So it's a bit late, but 10. He got one attack. I took him to the hospital. We get there, sit down at the hospital. By the time the doctor came, he was already recovered. He didn't get any medicine. He went home. Then a month or two later, he got another attack. Again, I took him to the hospital. Sat down, same story, nothing happened. And then later on in the day, my wife took him to the doctor to go and get some medicine. And he got one of those ventilating things that you use, yeah? But he only used it like once in 2 or 3 months. After leaving elementary school, going to secondary school, he goes into judo, and that's it. The asthma's gone. My younger brother as well had asthma back in the 70s. I joined the Army Cadets. He joins a year later, and his asthma's gone. He's my age now, where I'm 63, so he'd be 60, 61 he is now, okay? Fit as a fiddle, like me, regular exercising. We don't have any problems, okay? I never had any ailments. I'm quite lucky, okay? So this thing now with the asthma, in the case of Ellie, when you look at Ellie's mother is overweight. African food is high in saturated fats, very high, which would increase your blood pressure. So I put it to you that over the 9 years that little Ellie was alive, the diet she consumed at home wasn't healthy enough, especially as she had asthma.
Can I say something?
And it contributed
Jim,
to her asthma attack,
Jim,
high blood pressure.
when you look at the pictures of her, she doesn't look
Go
ill.
ahead.
She doesn't look ill at all. There's no way you could tell that this little girl's got a real problem with asthma. She just looks like a healthy child.
Thank you. Thank you. Excellent. Because high cholesterol and high blood pressure in itself doesn't really, you don't have to be big and fat to be having this problem. It can happen when you're slim and small as well. And African mothers are overweight. I know, I'm an African myself, so I know what I'm talking about here. When I make African food, right, when I started to make African food in the 80s, I deliberately reduced all the fats. My dad said I was a great cook, okay? Because he could see that I'm offering African food, but healthier, reducing the oils, okay? Because I don't want to get fat. I don't want to have high blood pressure. I don't want to get a heart attack. My dad had 2 heart attacks. That was definitely due to no exercise, smoking, drinking, and the African diet. I said to the doctors, can you please tell my dad what I'm telling you to tell him? That he needs to stop the drinking, stop the smoking, and to eat more healthier.
Also,
I wasn't living with it
Jim,
after a while.
Ellie's mum doesn't actually look that big, to be honest, in the pictures, these ones.
She is.
Okay, she's got other children. She's got other children that are okay, because she's got another girl, I think, and a boy, and she's holding up the picture.
Yeah.
And her name is Ella, not Ellie. It's Ella. Ella Adu kisses.
Ella.
Yeah. But
Thank you, Ella. Yeah.
but
yeah.
so she's got other children that are okay, and everybody looks healthy, and nobody looks like deaf. In fact, she looks the odd one out. She almost looks ill. They look healthy, and she doesn't look so healthy.
Exactly. All I'm trying to say, ladies and gentlemen, all I'm trying to say, Karen, is this: is that there's more to come. This is one story, unbelievable. The fact is, when you look at her, knowing the African diet, knowing how autism comes along, no one is born with it. It comes from when we get the MMR. It's in the facts. It's in the insert. Okay, and it doesn't happen immediately. It takes a number of years before it starts to flare up, and then you suddenly get this attack. Okay, my brother had it. He wasn't very good at PE at school at the beginning, the early days. We were in the 60s and 70s. Okay, but by the time I joined the Army Cadets, he joined a year later after me. That Army Cadet training sorted him out. Okay, we went on to join the Royal Engineers. I left earlier than him. He was the only one to complete the PTF training. This is a man who used to have asthma, as a kid. So definitely it's reversible with exercise. That's my point, and healthy diet. So what I'm trying to put across, ladies and gentlemen, is that the government has sneakily attached little Ella's death to this smog, pollution
And then
in
used
London,
her, and then
which
used
is
her
all for a fraudulent computer modelling, which was
Jim,
produced
Jim.
for... Yeah, go ahead.
They've used her as well to pass a law.
Yes, I know.
Do you know what? It's
I'm
really
absolutely
strange.
livid.
There's a picture of her up here, like she's not blowing bubbles, but she's making a funny face. And you think, well, if you've got asthma and you can't breathe properly, you won't be doing that. I can't find it now. Now I can't find it. Can you believe that?
Yeah.
she's like, she's not exactly blowing bubbles, but she's pulling her there it is. She's pulling her face going, ugh. You know, if you're worrying about asthma and all that, and there was like, surely there'd be machinery around her or something.
Yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, what I'm trying to get across to you is this. They pulled the walls over her eyes again, not over my eyes, because that's not happening, right? Because I can see what's been going on, following step by step. The point is, Ella's mother is ignorant of the fact, okay? How did she come by the air quality thing? Listen to this. She states out of her own mouth that because she was looking to find out what happened and why her daughter died, they had to have a second inquest. But the second inquest only came around after somebody, whoever this person was, said to her, why don't you check the air quality in your area when at the time of her death? Who do you think that somebody was, ladies and gentlemen? Who do you think that somebody would have been? Yeah? Why don't you check the air quality in the area where you live? Well, obviously it would be somebody involved with the air quality, congestion charging, you know. They want to charge more money.
Or somebody to make somebody to make the story.
Exactly. That's what I mean.
I see what you mean though. What it is when you look at her now, because this happened in, what was it, 2015, and it's now a bit older. 13. They're showing pictures of the mum today, and she's bigger, but she was a bit smaller when the little kid was there, because we're now talking of 10 years ago.
Yeah, no, she was big then. She's big now. Right. She was big then. She's big, ladies and gentlemen. This woman is unfit. When in a video, she's walking in her area, walking around, right, while she's being interviewed. She's breathing. She's out of breath. She's out of breath. Okay? Right. So the woman is unfit. Okay? The woman is unfit. I'm 63. I'll run you into the ground. No, I'm kidding you not. Okay, I take my health very seriously.
Okay, well, I think what it is we've made a real point about this. There's something not right with that story. The little girl's been used. Yeah. I don't, in the end, you wonder, is anybody real? But let's just say she's been used. Should we go on to the next picture, or do you want to carry on talking about this for a bit longer?
Yeah. So basically, this is what's annoyed me, is that, through her mother's ignorance, you've now got a lot coming in. The first black person to die of air pollution. Demographically, that's wrong, ladies and gentlemen, when you look at the population of London. It cannot be that a black person dies first. It's impossible. I'm sorry. That's not acceptable. Asthma's been around a long time. Okay? Someone should have died well before now. Well before 2013. So it doesn't make sense. And I was going to mention the
what you're more or less saying is it's more like you can't accept it's Ella because years ago somebody would have died of asthma.
Absolutely, yeah. Absolutely. It just doesn't make any sense through the numbers of the blacks and the whites that are living in there, for example. I'm not putting it as a race thing.
But you know why they've done this, haven't they? Because
it doesn't make sense on those grounds. If I'm going to put money on who's going to be dying first, it's going to be somebody white, because there's more white people than black people in England.
But you know why they've done this?
It's as simple as that.
They've done this because when you look back at the trail of why they've got all those taxes in for air pollution, they can bring up all these little stories as their little kicker points.
Yeah, exactly. This is what I'm bringing in. Remember, the catalytic converter is already cleaning the air, the exhaust fumes 90%. What are we doing paying £15 and then a £12.50, right, or £17.50 for the ultra low emissions charge?
It's hard to believe why they want the money though, because haven't they got enough money from us as it is? And then any little bit of money you've got, because basically most people are on the minimum wage. I mean, you have to work God knows how many hours to make any money. They're taxing you on that, and then they're trying to take more taxes and more taxes, so you've got like nothing.
Thank you. This is what I'm trying to say, Karen. Ladies and gentlemen, listen here. You've got the London Underground, okay, and Sadiq Khan has been given £4 billion to attack the motorist. But yet, listen to this, ladies and gentlemen, but yet the underground is 2,000% worse. The air quality
Yeah, I did a
in
video
your
about
underground
that.
that you're using, it's 2,000% worse. I haven't finished yet. Please listen, ladies and gentlemen. 2,000% worse, okay? And then the air that's under the underground is pumped out onto the streets, because they do have chimneys that come up onto the street level. So you're getting that pollution added to the cars. Do you understand what's going on? This is an unfair hit on the motorist. How can you have an underground system that's producing 2,000% more bad air quality than on the streets? I'm not going to accept that, and they wanted to use that.
Jin,
Yeah?
Jin,
Yeah, go ahead.
I put a video out about that, about the fact that it's very dirty down there in the underground.
Well done. Yeah, it's very dirty.
And
You can
look,
see
and
dust.
Jin,
Go
Jin,
ahead. Yeah.
millions of us use the underground every day, and we're all right.
I know. But thank you. This is all going to come out as I'm going along. I'm going to go back to the 90s when I was in London, ladies and gents, because I'm talking to you from Japan at the moment. But I very rarely use the underground, but when I did use it, you can see these like little ceramic electronic bits and pieces they have attached to the rails and that, and they're piled with dust. You know, you could spoon it off, ladies and gents, the dust that's accumulated. Okay? I'm sure you've seen it on the cables, covered in dust that run along the walls in the tunnels. Covered in dust. You understand what I'm saying? So, ladies and gentlemen, look. They're just telling you lies. Okay? Right, now, so we're coming, hopefully, we're coming to an understanding that we need to review that Ella's Law thing. All right, and being the first to die of air pollution. What air pollution? And remember, the ventilator is what took her out. The ventilator at the hospital. Okay? Coming after she'd had 27 over 3 years, 27 asthma attacks, resulting in her being in hospital every time. Okay? All right? You know, so we'll leave that there, and we'll now move on to, hang on a second, let me look at my list here, sorry.
1 second, we're just going to stop to get the picture. So we're on to alternative.
Excellent. Well, we're going to move on.
Go on.
Yeah, we'll touch on the health effects. All right, a little bit, you know, with the asthma thing. I'm just going to carry on with the computer modeling, and then we're going to move transition into alternative fuels, okay? So basically, ladies and gentlemen, Sadiq Khan has cleverly used the Imperial College of London's computer modeling, okay, of the air quality, right? And the model suggested that 4,000 people would die if this situation continued. Okay, that was the Imperial College's computer modeling.
When was that, Jim?
And the site. Go ahead.
When was that?
Last year.
Right.
Last year. Okay, we've got 2023, perhaps 2022, 2022, 2023.
Oh yeah, it says it's
Thereabouts.
October 2022 because it says how to increase the use of alternative fuels for cars topic. So it must have
Right,
been
well there you go. All right, 2022
yeah.
then, we had this computer modeling, which was, you know, it could even been 2021 where he went to the Imperial College, okay, of London to get this model, what they were going to use as a template to bring in this extra expansion of the ULEZ, okay? So my gripe is this, the scientists who did that model said to Sadiq Khan that he couldn't use that model in the way he was going to use it, claiming 4,000 people die every year. What he should have been saying to us, ladies and gentlemen, was that with the air quality as it is, the possibility of 4,000 people dying every year, according to the computer modeling from University College London, suggests this. It's purely a suggestion. It doesn't actually happen. But he didn't say that. He went around London. And then in his interviews, stating that 4,000 people die every year. That's a blatant lie, ladies and gentlemen. Nobody's dying. And I'm going to take you back to Germany now, very quickly. The German doctors, when the government tried to outlaw diesel cars in Germany, the German motorists pushed back And the doctors stated this in this documentary called The Diesel Disaster. The doctor said this: not one human being has died from any particulates coming out of an exhaust pipe or from nitrogen dioxide.
That's amazing.
That's what they said, ladies and
We
gentlemen.
can't wait to show you a film
Right,
with diesel, like smoke coming out the engine, as if all cars are bad for you and fumes.
Yeah. The German doctors have said that, yeah? Not only that, they said that's fear-mongering, because how could we document that? Then they likened it to smokers. So let me speak about the smokers, ladies and gentlemen. A smoker, on average, is smoking like 20, 30 cigarettes. When you work out how much nitrogen dioxide he's smoking in that cigarette, he's smoking over 1,000 times per cubic meter of nitrogen dioxide whilst he's smoking. That's 1,000 times higher level than the safety level of 40 micrograms per cubic meter in Germany. That's the level they've set from the WHO, 40 micrograms per cubic meter. When you smoke a cigarette, you're smoking 1,000 times more than that, okay? And they smoke like that for like 80 years, but they might die early 10 years, okay? So if you smoke, if I live to 80, a smoker smoking 20, 30 a day may only make it to 70, for example. That was the example they get. They don't die suddenly. But the way the government in Germany is saying that these 6,000 people dying in Stuttgart every year, that means they're dying suddenly. That doesn't make any sense. How can a smoker who smokes 1,000 times more nitrogen dioxide every day through cigarettes doesn't die suddenly, but the ordinary people in Stuttgart are dying? He said the model doesn't make any sense, and you can clearly see that. This is what the Germans have said. And then they stated this. This is the German people with their little, what do we call those? Air quality monitoring stations. When they checked it, it was a rainy day, mind you, on this particular day. At first, it was a rainy day at the beginning. It was only registering 2 micrograms per cubic meter, well within the 40, yeah, clean, okay? But guess what they said? More concerning was the tire wear, right? Tire particulates and brake dust that spiked well beyond, okay? Not being mentioned. And then you know what they also did? They went into a student's house on this particular road, into a flat, okay? And as soon as they walked in, their meter alarm was ringing off. Because what's going on? Why is my alarm going off? And the reason why the alarm was going off is because in this house, this student had a boiler that was on the go, and he was cooking. Okay, all right? And it turned out that the nitrogen dioxide in his flat was 30% higher, 30 times higher than on the road. So the government monitoring station, which was right there by the traffic lights, okay, right, was registering a certain number. In the flat, it was registering 30 times that. So basically what I'm saying to you, ladies and gentlemen, is that when you cook at home, and you have a merchant heater and a boiler in your house, you're breathing in more nitrogen dioxide than you would be on the streets on a busy day, okay? But the government doesn't tell you that. You're breathing higher levels than the government's safety levels. Your kitchen would be safer on the streets than in your house, in other words, okay? This is what doesn't make sense about the story they're telling us. I've lived with gas cooking all my life, born in 61, 63 years old. I'm not dead. I don't have any ailments. I don't have a respiratory problem from using gas, okay? So this is what I'm trying to tell you. You're breathing in more nitrogen dioxide in your house on a daily basis than you are on the street, and it hasn't harmed you. And if it has harmed you, it could be due to maybe you got the MMR, or better still, you might be a smoker and all that. But if you're living a healthy lifestyle, you won't be harmed by the emissions that you're breathing in that you didn't know about until I told you just now, okay? And you need to watch that diesel disaster video that's going to tell you that, okay? So, now that I've mentioned that and I've got that off my chest, you know, the fact that Sadiq Khan used a fraudulent model, the model suggested it could be 4,000 people dying each year if this situation were to persist, but there hasn't been a single death, and the Germans have highlighted that. No one has ever died from any particulate coming out of an exhaust pipe or from nitrogen dioxide. Never happened. Okay, no deaths, 0. Catalytic converters, 90% clean air coming out of cleaning up. 90%. It's clean up. Okay, all right. Let's go on to alternative fuels now. Now, out there is...
Can I just say something? Can I just say something before you... Jin, before you get going, I thought, well,
yeah, go ahead, please.
I was looking through things, because obviously we're looking up alternatives.
Go ahead.
And it says, what is the next alternative fuel? Hydrogen power is promising alternative fuel option for clean mobility.
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, that was it. It's hydrogen's going to be the next thing. Or CO2.
Yeah.
Compressed gas. But no, carry on. So I just wanted to say that the things you're saying are on there.
Yeah.
But there's a
so
few
basically, sorry, you it there for me. Can you mention the name of the fuels again? Because I'm aware of hydrogen.
Well,
you know, hydro,
on here it says future alternatives, right? Are biodiesel, electricity.
Yeah, biodiesel.
Electricity, hydrogen, natural gas, and propane.
Right, brilliant. Right. So, ladies and gentlemen, the two that I'm really
and
keen
also
on
there's
are bioethanol and biodiesel.
There's CNG.
And obviously,
the CNG, which is compressed gas. That's another synthetic fuel for a car.
Yeah.
Hydrogen.
Did you mention hydrogen? Did you mention hydrogen?
They're saying, what is the future fuel? Hydrogen. And then, because it says it's abundant in the universe. And then this one says compressed gas is another one.
Yeah. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I don't really want to go hydrogen as the way they're talking about it. There's water. You can run a car on water.
Yes, it says Jin.
Okay.
Jin, in here it says on the things as I'm going through them. It says you can't run a car on water, but you all know you can.
Yeah. Now you can run a car on water, ladies and gentlemen. We don't want hydrogen. We want water, bioethanol, and biodiesel. Now, ladies and gentlemen, bioethanol, you can drink that. That's neat alcohol. You can drink it and run your car on it as well. The cleanest fuel. In fact, there's a documentary that I watched about hemp, and it showed bioethanol on a teaspoon being burnt, and all you saw was a nice golden colour flame. That's it. No
Do you know
soot,
something else,
no
Jin?
smoke.
Jin, I'm sure you do know this, but you know when they banned alcohol? I mean, I didn't know it at the time because they just show you the films and they're all put in prison and they're gangsters and it's all to do with drink. It was because they were using that alcohol as petrol, and that's why they did. That's why they did what they did.
Yeah, that's absolutely correct. Yeah, and the reason they outlawed hemp was because it was competing against DuPont's petroleum, nylons, and lycra and all that stuff. So that's why what's his name? Harry J. Anslinger outlawed hemp in America, and then of course the whole world followed suit. But anyway, going back to the bioethanol, it's such a clean fuel that when you put a teaspoon of bioethanol on a teaspoon and you actually light it up, all you get is a nice clean burning flame. There's no soot, no smoke, just sits there on the spoon, and then they took the regular petrol, right, and put that alight, and it was just black smoke everywhere. One little teaspoon, a trail of black smoke, all the impurities in that fuel, you see. So the explanation in itself, all plant-based fuels are clean, and they release the CO2, which the trees breathe in and they give us air. Natural cycle, they call it. Okay, so biodiesel, bioethanol.
Jin, don't you find it really?
Jin,
don't you find it really strange that they're now going to put those in car when we cook with that?
Yeah, that's right.
It's obviously not very good for you, is it? It's not very good for you. Vegetable oil.
No, absolutely not. Absolutely not. No. You see, but hemp oil is good because hemp you can put on your salad. You can then transfer that onto your skin as a good sunblock. Look it up, ladies and gentlemen. Hemp oil is a good sunblock against the rays of the sun, the UV. If you're worried, you should be walking around with hemp oil on your skin. Look it up. Just look it up. You know, It's such a good,
On here, it's
good
got
plant, the hemp oil.
it's got biodiesel, electricity, ethanol, hydrogen, natural gas. Then it's got propane, renewable diesel, and sustainable aviation fuel.
Fuel, yeah. Well, the ones that I've mentioned are the cleanest, and that is biodiesel, bioethanol. Okay,
Yeah, why
water.
that's got down as renewable diesel. So what did you say, bio?
Yeah, biodiesel.
What is that then?
That's made straight from oil, straight from like vegetable oil, hemp oil. You can run that in your car.
Right.
They call it bio because it's plant-based. So it's like you press, so basically you get a load of hemp seeds, you press them, and you can run that straight into your car engine. Okay, that's why they call it bio, because it's natural, isn't it?
Mm.
And then there's bioethanol, which is more like an alcohol, isn't it? And you can drink that. I tell you, it's so clean. So when the governments are talking about clean air, well, they're not really serious, because if they were, then they'd be pursuing hemp, okay? Because it's abundant, it's natural, okay? You get 4 harvests a year in the warmer temperate climates. In the cold frigids, you get 3 harvests a year. So it's a hardy plant, okay? And every facet of it is recyclable. Nothing is wasted. And there's more than 50,000 ways to use hemp. 50,000 plus.
Cool.
And I'm sure that number is still small. All right? I'm playing safe with that number. 50,000 different ways to use hemp. I've heard bigger numbers, okay? I'm just keeping with the 50,000 for now. Okay? So hemp is the way to go as an alternative fuel. Water, the best. Then you've got your hemp coming up after that. Okay? The electric. Now, ladies and gentlemen, let's talk about the electric car and how it's meant to be environmentally friendly. Well, it's not, actually. Okay?
Yeah, because, Jin, they've got lithium batteries for a start.
That's right. Chemicals again, lithium.
And
okay?
when the battery runs out on the car, when the battery runs out on the car, you've got to throw the car away.
Right, well, there you go then. That's terrible. Well, yeah, you have to, because to replace the batteries is about maybe half the cost of the car, at least. Okay, ladies and gentlemen. The thing about the electric car currently is that they're not selling like hotcakes as the government would be, as the governments around the world are telling you. Because if you look online, there are many manufacturers out there telling us that they're not selling them. Okay, they're not being sold, and the reason why people are shying away. I'll give you some. Go ahead.
The hybrids are selling, so electric and petrol, but the electric one, nobody seems to want just the electric one.
Right.
But you know what that might be? Listen.
That's right.
A friend of mine's husband was driving his lorry on the motorway, and he was going down to the roundabout. The car in front, the battery ran out, and he swerved to miss them, and he caused himself a lot of injury. It nearly killed him.
There you go. Right, well, there you go. There's a reason for you. They call it range phobia, where you worry about how far you can go in your electric car. That's always
because they say 300 miles, and then someone will say, no, you mean like 180. You know, you've got to take off things, you know, and as the car gets older, the battery doesn't last as good. So you need a hybrid.
Yeah, the battery doesn't.
But listen, all electric cars are now automatic, so they stick another couple of £1,000 on for that. And when you buy a hybrid, you've got to pay, because it's a hybrid, so you've got to pay another 1,000 or 2,000 for that.
Yeah.
But what it is, also a lot of people have said, with the electric cars, if they don't like you, they can turn all the things off and you won't be able to use them. They can control you. I got a video with someone saying that the other day. And so
I'm glad you mentioned that.
Petrol means that you can be either, and if your car ran out of electricity, you can switch over to petrol. But if in the
right.
you know, I bet you were around for those. We did hangouts years ago about in the Tartarian days. We call them that. I don't know what Tartarian is anymore, because Totalitarian has a Tarian in it, and we've got Tartarian. wait a minute, we've got Tartarian. So it's probably all of a horrible existence that we had before. But when we say totalitarian, to me, it meant a history we don't know. So we know they had electric cars and vans years ago. There's millions of adverts about it. And they did about 500 miles per charge. How could they do that then and give you such a... I mean, my daughter-in-law had one. It was electric and petrol. She got it because, you know, you get a better tax incentive when you take a hybrid or or electric car. But basically, and it was only... it was a Volvo. It was only a couple of years old, and that car did 35 miles on a charge. What is 35 miles when it's got a lithium battery and it is not environmentally friendly, that you get a tax rebate for that? You know, you don't have to pay car tax.
Yeah. But that's coming in November 20th, 2025. All electric cars are going to be paying road tax. They've got to pay it. £160 a year. Okay? That's next year, 2025.
Wow,
electric cars have to pay road tax. Okay? Did you know that?
No, I didn't.
Yeah, that's coming in next year. Okay? Sadiq Khan has brought that in.
Well, imagine how much money they're going to make of that then.
Go ahead.
Imagine how much money they're going to make extra again.
There you are. They're bringing, and that will also include electric bikes as well. Electric bikes as well have got electric motorbikes.
Yeah, it's ridiculous though, that is.
Yeah.
On the bike.
So electric car ownership at the moment isn't a good prospect on many counts. For example, like you mentioned, you know, the fuel that is expensive, ladies and gentlemen, because if you have an accident in your car, usually the car is written off. Okay, to repair an electric car and that. It is.
They are. Do you know something? Considering all the taxes on us for these admissions and things, that they allow these cars with lithium batteries to pay no tax and be called an environmentally friendly car, just shows you they are laughing at us.
Yes, I'm glad you said that. You see, now you're beginning to realise exactly what's going on.
Well, I already know it's a con. I asked for in the past, I asked for the ombudsman to resign, the chief executive. That's a government body being paid millions to do nothing, and they are backing the banks, not you. It's supposed to be somewhere where it's down the middle, and they have just as much jurisdiction as a judge, but they actually are following the banks. They are a con. They need to go. They don't help you at all. They don't care, and they're not going to help you. Yeah. Because what it is because they've got the jurisdiction. Because they've got a jurisdiction of a judge. If they change anything, the whole law has to change. So they don't want that, do they?
Right. This is what I liked about you and your channel when I used to listen. Yeah, that Sun and Moon Family United channel. Yeah. You used to talk about all this. And I used to say, well, there's a woman who actually knows what she's talking about here. And she's got the right gripe under the right heading. Yeah. And you did, you know, I was proud of you when you said you did that, you know.
Oh, cheers.
It's good. You actually wrote a letter.
Yeah, now you're my friend.
You did that. Yeah. That's right, yeah. So, you know, the electric cars...
Can I say something very quickly? Jin, I've got to thank you, actually. I know this is going off topic just for a moment, but I've got to thank you, and it's all your fault. Because it was one day we were talking on a hangout a few years ago, and you said that you got to California in so many hours. And I thought, how the hell can he get there in the same time as us? And that's what got me That got me onto the star map. The Union Jack fits completely over the top. You can see how everybody got their flags. Nearly every flag is to do with the Union Jack. The triangles, the crosses, the crisscrosses. Jamaica is on has a crisscross flag, and they are on my star map, which is a bit like a Gleason, but it's not. It covers the southern and the northern hemisphere. The military used it. Basically, Jamaica's on the crisscross, and they have a crisscross flag. I can do all the flags. That you started me on that trail. Someone sent me that map. and I started looking into things. I've made videos where I fit the Union Jack on the top. Lots of flags have triangles in them. They all live on somewhere on a triangle part of that Union Jack. The Union Jack runs it all. It's disgusting.
Yeah, brilliant.
But
Yeah.
you set me on the path for
Yeah,
that.
I would. Well, I'm glad to have done something good there. Then glad to be of
Because I
service.
could not believe
So
that you
yeah,
got
so
to
if I can
California.
just wrap up the electric car thing,
Yeah.
and how the reasons for why they're not really selling and they're not moving off like hotcakes out of a bakery is because
You might run out of electricity.
For example, the reasons are that tyre wear is increased by 20%. So your tyres wear out 20% faster
Why?
than your petrol engine cars
Why?
because of the weight of the batteries.
Right.
An electric car is heavier. So, you know, if you have a small box electric car and then you have a small Volkswagen Polo, the Volkswagen Polo is going to be lighter. So you're going to have more tyre wear straight off there and brake wear as well, okay? Then the other problem they were having back in 2022 was they were spontaneously blowing up, overheating, and they blew up. Did you not hear about that?
Yeah. Yeah.
Suddenly exploding. The batteries were exploding in the cars. So that's the problem. The other problem is with the battery and the charging, the infrastructure. Sometimes you go to, that's been said on these videos, they go to charge their cars up, but the charger units that they're using are broken, out of service. They're not robust enough.
Can I say something, Jin? It's not like this.
Yeah,
It's not like this thing maybe has a little flame and you can put it out. Every picture they show you of an electric car that's caught fire, it looks like we're in a war. It looks like we're in a war.
It's engulfed in flames. That's right. I've seen the videos myself, and it's terrible. So you know you don't want it on those grounds, okay?
I mean,
the insurance is also high.
It's lucky that no one has died because of this.
Yeah, so far. Insuring an electric car is quite expensive as well, apparently, especially if you're going to be buying like a Tesla, and if you can afford it. But any electric car, the insurance is higher, okay? So the insurance, and if you have an accident in there, well, there goes your no claims bonus, etc., etc. Battery performance also not so good. Even though they're improving the batteries, they don't do well in cold weather. So winter, snow, that kind of thing. The battery power output drops, or battery life tails off. Okay, so there's a lot going against it. All right, and there are showrooms around the world with lots of stock, and they're not moving. Nobody wants them. Okay, and let me tell you something else. Germany was the last country to embrace manufacturing electric cars, and that should tell you something, because when you look at the combustion engine, the Germans were leading the world market, closely followed by Japan. In fact, you could say Japan and Germany are together, because in America, Japanese cars are the top selling cars in America because of their reliability and their very, very competitive price. Okay? So, you know, you've got the Japanese and the Germans leading in the combustion engine market, and the Germans didn't want to go into electric cars. The reason they went in was because the workers in Germany producing combustion engines started to worry that Holland and other European countries were going headlong into electric cars, and Germany was being left behind. Right? I think the manufacturers knew
Can I say
the electric car wasn't that good. They knew it.
It's quite amazing.
It wasn't that good.
It's quite amazing that they allowed these cars to come out when they're all. It's not just this. Oh, it burnt that tyre or it burnt that little bit of the car. It completely engulfs the car. Why would they allow something like this to be put on the humans?
Yeah, it's not. It would fail safety. It's not safe enough, is it? It's
No.
just not safe enough. And yet they're out there. You might remember
So
recently
basically,
in Oxford.
it's like you're driving around on a bomb.
Oh yes, that's exactly what my brother said. Exactly, and I agree with that. That's what it is. It is a bomb. And then the idea of having a hydrogen car would mean that you'd have a hydrogen tank in the back of where the fuel tank used to be. And if you get hit from behind, that's another explosion going on there. So you don't want a hydrogen car, definitely not. No, biodiesel, bioethanol, water, these are the ones to be using. Gas still has a danger problem there, but bioethanol, biodiesel, much safer. Water, safest. So yeah, I don't want to buy an electric car. Totally not interested. I don't like the way they sound, and they're very fast.
What do you mean? You don't even hear them?
Acceleration, but I'm not interested.
You don't even hear them. They're silent electric cars.
Yeah, not when they actually accelerate fast. You can hear them then. Look at the E1s. You've got the E1. You got Formula One. Right, and then you've got E1. When you hear them, they're very, very funny sound they make.
Hey, Jim,
yeah,
Jim, you know when you look through the pictures sometimes, what it is you might only get 20 pictures. I'm telling you, the file ones with the cars, the electric cars, there's millions of them.
There you are. You see? So you've only got to do a little bit of investigation, ladies and gentlemen. And you will understand that.
Jin, if you had one of those cars and it caught fire, what would put it out then? Because it's engulfing the car.
Yeah, you'd have to have a special electric type firefighting equipment to do that. The regular stuff, if you put it out with a regular fire extinguisher, it would add to the problem.
Then get an electric car and watch it burn.
Yeah, in fact, when you get an electric car, inside the car should be an electric type firefighting equipment, fire extinguisher.
Yeah, you become
okay.
Can I say something else as well? And when you think about probably like even having petrol, diesel, unleaded and all that in your car, that's probably not the best either.
Yeah.
But you don't hear of all those cars catching fire every 5 minutes, do you?
Nope, not at all. No, you're not worried about that. That's the last thing you worry about. It doesn't even cross your mind, actually, does it?
No.
That your car could explode on the street. It doesn't, no. But yet that's what's happening with electric cars. They're not safe, man. In fact, I think Elon Musk's Tesla, they've had so many recalls with battery issues, overheating batteries and blowing up as well. So,
well, as long as it's annoying,
they're not environmentally friendly at all.
As long as it's annoying to the people, they love it.
Yeah, I'm happy with the people of Oxford because in Oxford there was that pilot scheme, there was a smart city thing where you'd only be allowed to drive. What was it, 5 minutes or so from where you live? And if you wanted to go further than that, you had to go and get a permit.
Have they
this is all
stopped
after
it?
paying your road tax. You've got to get a permit.
Jim,
but anyway, they pushed against that.
They pushed against it. Great. Who wants that?
Yeah, they won. Yeah, the government. Sorry?
Who wants the 10-minute city, for God's sake?
Nobody wants it. Nobody wants it, you see. So the Oxyanites, I would have to call them, those people who live in Oxford, they went out there, petitioned it, protested against it.
If they said it a different way, like there's too many cars on the road, that's the problem. Not start, it's because of this emission and that emission and lying to us. There are too many cars on the road. If you go on a motorway now, you've got to sit in traffic. It's like a car park. Why not talk about those things?
I would agree with that. But remember, are they polluting and ruining the air quality? Remember this, the nature's assistance. Let's go on to nature's assistance.
Also, Jin, if they were serious about getting us out of the cars, they'd make a much better transport system.
Right, they would. But currently, that transport system is 2,000 times worse than the road at the moment. And I cannot understand why they would plough £4 billion into attacking the motorists instead of to use that money and clean up the underground. See what I mean, ladies and gentlemen?
Can
you understand my gripe here?
And that is it. It is absolutely bananas. It's either fraud or most of it's fraud.
Fraud. It's fraud, ladies and
gentlemen. All of it.
Remember, ladies and gentlemen, whilst you're having your Yeah, go
The
on.
councils, they're all, what's the word? B-E-N-T. They're all corrupt. That's it, corrupt. It's all corrupt.
Yeah, it is all corrupt. Yeah, absolutely. I was going to say, imagine that, ladies and gentlemen. You're sitting in your kitchen, you're doing your roast dinner, you're going to be doing it for Christmas, and you're going to be breathing in stupendous amounts of nitrogen dioxide whilst you're cooking. And you know that the air quality out there at Christmas, that's going to be cleaner because there's going to be less people flying around, Christmas holidays and that. Can you imagine that? Okay? The thing is, it's not going to kill you. You are not going to die in your kitchen.
Yeah, do you know
But
what?
yet
Back
the
to
government
that.
wants you to...
Back to that bit. Do
Go
you know
ahead.
what it was? Do you know who Peter and Pete are? Channel, YouTube.
Yeah, I love them, yeah. I
Well,
love them, yeah.
basically, what it was is they did these
Yeah.
experiments, the whole lot.
Yeah, I
with
still
how
watch
things-
them. I still watch them every day. Yeah,
how
I watch them
things-
every day.
How things rust
Pete.
and everything. And then what they said was on one of their videos,
Yeah.
this isn't word for word, by the way, but what they were saying was, if you get a tub of ammonia and you opened it up next to you, it would be engulfing with those fumes that come out of the chlorine. Sorry, if you opened a tub of chlorine, the smell would hit you straight
Yeah.
away. But if you put that tub outside and take
Yeah.
the lid off and put it outside, the air takes care of that pollution and doesn't kill you. This is what's happening with
Thank you.
This
Thank
is
you
what's
very much,
happening
Karen.
with the diesel. If there's any side effects from the diesel, the petrol, unleaded, any of them, the air will take care of it.
Yeah, yeah.
Somehow
That's right.
it takes care
That's what
of
I
it.
want. That's exactly what I was going to say, ladies and gentlemen, that nature assists us every day. So let's take a day in the life of a human being living in London, okay? Wake up in the morning, it's 6 o'clock. You cannot tell me that the air is polluted because it would have been cleaned whilst you're asleep. So you open the window, oh, fresh air. Okay, you go to the bathroom, you have a shave, you shave up. Electric shaver, okay. Put your clothes on, you have your breakfast. Goodbye, darling, I'm off to work now. You go, get in your car, you drive off, okay? You get to work, you're into the rush hour now. So rush hour starts from about 7 o'clock. What time does the hour begin in the UK, would you say?
5. 5
time
o'clock.
does the rush hour begin?
5 o'clock in the morning.
Nah, that's too early.
That's
5
when it
o'clock,
starts.
that's way too early.
Yeah, I think it starts.
No, not 5 o'clock in the morning. Not the rush hour.
Well, 6 then.
It'd be about 7-ish, wouldn't it? 7.
Go on then. We'll go for your 7.
Yeah, I'd say, okay, between 6 and 7 in the morning, right, rush hour, okay, and then everyone's getting to work about 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock. That rush hour dies off, doesn't it? Okay, it's not a rush hour all day long, is it? And then it begins again from about, 4 o'clock, starts to build up again, rush hour. People are trying to get home, kids, picking up the kids and that, 6 o'clock. So you've got these blocks where traffic is not so bad as they say, right? And then when does it tail off? When does the actual rush hour tail off? 8 o'clock in the evening, would you say? It's gone? 8 o'clock, rush hour? Right. So from 8 o'clock
maybe
onwards,
even
ladies and
7,
8 o'clock,
but
9
anyway,
o'clock,
about
10
those
o'clock,
times, yeah.
12. It's the traffic volume has dramatic to bed at midnight, let's say. You've gone to sleep. You're going to get up and say you've got 6 hours. Plus, you've got 9 hours. There's about 8 hours of air cleaning that's done by nature. Okay? So when you wake up in the morning, the air is fresh. It is not pollutant. Has the 4th cleanest air in the UK. Number 1 clean air. This is last year's value.
Wow.
Don't know about this year yet. Last year, Glasgow was the cleanest.
Wow.
Followed by Edinburgh. Yeah, Glasgow, Edinburgh, Newport, and then London. In that order, last year.
Wow.
Glasgow, Edinburgh, Newport, and then London.
Hey,
In that
before
order,
you
ladies
carry
and
on,
gents.
there's something else to add to the mix. Okay, we're doing your stuff tonight, but don't
Go
forget
on.
they did it to us with the ozone layer. Remember that one?
Yeah, I remember that. Of course I do.
And they never
Of course I
stopped
do.
going on and on about it being above Iceland, and now they don't talk about it at all.
No, because it was a scam all along. Right? Listen to the minister. Listen to the minister of Health and Environment in Australia. He stated this, that during the lockdowns, okay, there was no travelling going on yet. Guess what he said? The CO2 increased, he said. How can that be when there was no flying going on? He said that, okay? So it can't be down to the traffic and aeroplanes flying. It's a natural phenomena that the CO2 and nitrogen dioxide levels increase and decrease as a natural flow.
Jim, it's really annoying, isn't it, for you, all this? It's just like unbelievable, isn't it?
Yeah, it's frustrating, absolutely. I've watched it happen because I've been very interested, you see. I've got a good memory. Very interested in all this. And I can see this. I can see how they're scamming. How can you have an instrument known as the catalytic converter cleaning your exhaust to 90% clean, and you're now paying £15 plus £12 a day just to drive around London, right? And each day the air is being cleaned by nature anyway. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that's what you're living under at the moment. A very, very corrupt government. Okay, very corrupt indeed.
Well, they made us believe we went to the moon when we didn't.
Well, yeah, of course. And that is a definite impossibility. Reason being, ladies and gentlemen, rockets do not work in a vacuum. Okay? That's what you've got to remember. The reason why a rocket takes this parabolic arc that you see is because the air is diminishing the higher the rocket goes up. So it has to follow an arc because there's no air up there. Okay? And rockets need air to propel themselves. You're going to hear people tell you, no, what it is that the oxygen is in the rocket itself as liquid oxygen, and then Aerosine 51 comes into contact, and you get this spontaneous combustion, and then you get the thrust coming out the nozzle. That's all crap, ladies and gentlemen. You still need the combination of air, the medium to push off of, okay? That's necessary, right? And you look up on the YouTube or wherever, rockets working in a vacuum, and you're going to see some skullduggery like the vacuum chamber.
It's not even
it's
that.
So tiny.
If they went into the vacuum, when they came out, they'd expand.
Yeah. Exactly. Well, one astronaut did actually go into a vacuum. His name was LeBlanc.
Yeah, do you know what they said to him?
He went into a vacuum chamber, and within 1.7 seconds he was out.
They said to him, will you go in there and we'll see how long you can stand it? That's what they said to him.
Yeah. Yeah. He went in there, yeah? He was walking on a treadmill angled at about, 30 degrees or thereabouts, and he was walking on that, okay? And then they evacuated it, and he was out. 1.7 seconds he was gone.
So you would think that they would never do it again unless they'd done millions more hours testing, but he's the only one that did.
Yeah, he did it, and he almost died. He said the last thing he could remember was the saliva on his tongue bubbling and heating up. Okay? That's what he remembered. All right? That was the outgassing phenomenon.
And he was in a suit.
Where the body expands.
He was in a suit.
Outgas. Yeah, he was in the spacesuit. Yeah. The thing is, right? The thing is that chamber was the equivalent of going about 2 or 3 miles from the Earth's surface. So you're not even in space. That chamber did not replicate the vacuum of space.
Well, they said it
Only
did.
3 miles.
They said that it was the same as the moon. That's what they said.
No, it's impossible. They can't do that. The best vacuum
No,
chambers.
they can't do it because we've never been to the moon. So how do they know?
Exactly. That's a good question. So let me just get this correct so people who are listening fully understand, because I'm an expert on this. It's one of my expertise. I go on the Discord every day and totally hammer them with these facts. The fact is this, ladies and gentlemen, the best vacuum chambers they have here on Earth is 10 to the minus 6 torr. That is it, in Ohio, okay? If you're on the moon, supposedly, if you could get there. The vacuum, they say, is 10 to the minus 11 on the lit side, and on the far side, the dark side of the moon, the other side, 10 to the minus 12. We don't have a vacuum chamber that can do that. We don't have anything, so they cannot test. NASA did not test to those levels. And before you go anywhere like that, you're going to test to destruction. You're going to do all these tests till you destroy your equipment. Then you know what can be taken, and then you build the redundancy from that point onwards. From the destruction point onwards, you begin to build your strong spacecraft and your spacesuits and everything else. They didn't test. They were ill prepared. Okay. 10 to the minus 6 is the best. In a university in Greece, I think it was, they got a 10 to the minus 7 tour vacuum chamber, but it's a small one. Humans can't go in there. You can put things like film, photographic film in it, and you see the film start to outgas. That means smoke is coming off the film canister that's put in there. I've seen it with my own eyes. Okay? They put it in this little chamber, evacuate the pump. They pump the vacuum out, the air out, evacuate the air out of it. And what you see slowly is smoke starting to be emitted. That's called off-gas, outgassing, or degassing if you're learning.
Also, if you were, is it Stanley Baxter Baker? You know, that guy, American guy, he died afterwards, but he said if you were on the moon and you jumped like miles up. The moon would make you go doing. We never saw that.
Oh, you're talking about Bill Cooper.
That's it, yeah.
Bill Cooper,
that's it, sorry.
Yeah, Bill Cooper.
He said that, so basically, if you were on the moon, you wouldn't want to be jumping or anything. You just want to be, lightly plodding around so that you didn't create a bounce. Because if you bounced, you'd end up being right over there. Because it wasn't just a little bounce, it was a big bounce.
Wouldn't be used to the 1/6 gravity of Earth. Because you're not accustomed to it. So you'd be overcompensating all the time and you'd be out of control. You wouldn't be able to control your movement as well.
Jin, everything you've explained is utter madness.
Yeah, I would agree with you there completely. But we can talk of these topics more elaborately, on another...
Can I just say, we've been going for an hour and a half
we can
now.
go into this. I want to go into this in depth with the people who are listening. I'd like to go into it in depth. And I explain to them how it is impossible for the rockets to work in space. I can give you all the numbers, all the facts, and how NASA was totally ill-prepared. They did not have it. And I'm going to be quoting experts, okay? I'll give you the sources so you can check it for yourself. All right, I know. I have become an expert because of those experts. I am now known as a professional expert specialist, ladies and gentlemen, and I gave that title to myself 7 years ago. Okay.
Listen, Jin,
2015.
Jin, just to say, we've been going for an hour and a half now. So how many more con things have we got to listen to?
Oh, we've got loads, man. You're going to talk about like the cancel tax.
Well, yeah, we can do that on another we can do that on another talk. That one. But I mean,
that's right. Yeah. So we can round it off. We can just round it off.
Can I just say everything?
Just summarise.
Everything we've talked about, like even the car licence, that's a con. Council tax is a con.
Yes.
It's just, how did they get us there and we didn't seem to know nothing?
Well, yeah, because of our naivety. That's why. Very clever language they use. And we're living in an apathetic society. Apathy is everywhere.
Well, I suppose what it was is we have trusted our everything. We've trusted our system.
Exactly. Now it's time to not trust. Now it's time to stop. When they're telling us that we live on a spinning ball hurtling through a universe, and you wake up to the fact that that's not actually happening, your instant reaction is, well, you don't vote for the government anymore. Why would you vote for your demise? You become a revolutionary. I was a revolutionary from when I was 19 years of age. Okay, Thatcher government, So, as far as I'm concerned, do not trust your government at all. Don't believe anything.
Yes, government means govern the mind.
Everything.
Government means govern the mind.
Exactly. govern of your mind, govern of the people.
And do you know what that is?
At all.
Do you know what that is? It's totalitarianism.
Go ahead.
Totalitarianism.
Yeah, totalitarianism. That's right. Of course it is. It's actually dictatorship masquerading as democracy. It's what it is. And like I said, it's the elite that attend the Etons, the Harrows, Cambridge and Oxford. These are the people that are in control in Britain and around the world as well. You understand? They go to the elite schools, they learn the language to the highest level, and they learn how to manipulate the language in such a way that the unknowing obviously fall foul. That's how they pull the wool over our eyes.
Hey, listen, if it's any difference, we've learnt in the last week, because I started to look it up, Syria has fallen.
Yes, that's right. Absolutely overjoyed at that. For now,
Just
don't
what?
get me wrong.
There's
Remember,
more.
it's still a toilet. Still a toilet country. Still out of control.
Let me just finish
the
this.
thing that I will say is, go ahead.
Let me just finish this little bit. My son told me in Australia they want the Prime Minister gone. They want him gone. He's useless. And there's lots of striking. Yeah. People want to leave the country. Jobs are being affected. Yeah. Rah, rah, rah. Then you've got France. You've got the Prime Minister being ousted. And also now they want Macron gone. They want his head. It's that bad. They want to chop his head off.
Yeah.
And nobody wants Keir Starmer. And I look up what's happening in Russia. It says it's quite a nice place to live, and they have quite a nice living these days.
Really?
That the government pays for water, education, and all these things, and they moan about Russia. It sounds like our water's contaminated. It's just disgusting, the whole thing. We're 2024 and we're living as if we're like before the Victorians, if you know what I mean. Our technology, the way that we're being...
Yeah.
They're pumping sewage into the sea.
Yeah. Terrible, man. We're living wrong. The modern lifestyle is not perfect in any way, shape, or form.
But, Jin, you know, if the air takes care of a lot of the damage or the fumes, maybe the sea takes care of what goes in it, really. But I suppose there's so much salt in there, it'll probably kill it anyway.
Yeah. Now, talking about Syria, Assad is currently in Russia as we speak. He's fled.
Yeah.
Okay, he's fled the country. He's gone. The revolution has happened. Did you know that?
There it has, yeah. Maybe.
Right. No, it has. Definitely has. Assad is no longer the leader of his country. He's gone. Okay? And remember, this is over 50 years we've had Assad in place. And the country is a toilet. And remember this, ladies and gentlemen, if you're listening.
Yes, but you know, Jin, you know that they're all part of the same system. So what does this mean then?
Yes, exactly. You took the words out of my mouth, because that's what I was just going to say. Ladies and gentlemen, as Karen says, they're all married together, because if the next government that comes in Syria is teaching that they're living on a globe, hurtling through the universe, and that is part of their education system, they're still under control. Do you understand, ladies and gentlemen?
Listen, we had a hangout.
Government.
We had a hangout about Trump, me and Amy, and it came to me, because what it is when you actually listen to a speech he made about 2 or 3 weeks ago, he went on for about 7 minutes. It's almost like I wanted to go, yes, well done, he's my hero. But the thing is, I said to people, we'll know whether he's a real man or not, because his presidential seal has an eagle on it. Putin has double eagles. America are flying a single eagle. So if he changes that seal, he is his own man. If he flies the same seal as he had before and the same seal as Biden, he's one of them.
As far as I'm concerned, Trump will never be his own man. Okay? He's a puppet put in place. I predicted all this Trump getting back in, because the insurrection was a fake. He had 2 fake assassination attempts. Come on, man.
Which also, Jin, weren't real. He had no blood on his face. I looked at it. I broke it down. I showed everybody. He had no blood on his face.
Right. So obviously, Trump is, with what you've just said, that equals Trump is a puppet. He will never be his own man, yeah? Do you get it now? Yeah?
They've all got the same
Follow the
boss.
logic.
They've all got the same boss. Even Biden has the same boss.
Yes. Thank you. They're all working as puppets. Follow the logic through.
I mean,
right?
what more?
So
I don't mean to
Trump
be
is-
horrible, but what more of a puppet than Biden? I mean, look at him, like a robot walking across the stage.
Yeah, but you notice when they said he had the dementia, that, you know, or he was having memory lapse. He's not having them now, though, is he? So that was all play acting. Please, let's get that correct, ladies and gentlemen. That Biden is okay. He's quite coherent for his age.
Yeah, but come on,
Okay?
listen. He ousted Putin all the time. But what he's not telling you is they're all related, that he's related to Putin. They're all cousins and
That's
things.
right.
So Putin, well, anyway, I'd rather listen to Putin talk. At least he sounds much more like he's dealing with things than them. But they're all part of the same thing. Because what people don't realise is the Tsar of Russia and the Tsaress of Russia, in the late 1800s, they were English. They were Queen Victoria's grandchildren, right? And they married
There you
each
go.
other, and they were English. You just got to realise it's all part of the same thing.
There we are. We've come full circle. There we are, ladies and gentlemen. Okay? So
Do you know
all
what?
I'm trying to say
I
to you is
reckon
that
we're one of the
don't
most...
take your eye off the... Let me just get this out, please. Don't take your eye off the ball, ladies and gentlemen. Keep your eye on it, because you're living in a world where you are under tyranny, dictatorship and enslavement. That's where you are currently. You are a slave on this flat earth. That's what you are at the moment. Okay?
But what
That
my
is a
thing is,
fact.
right, what it is
Okay?
people might not realise that loads of countries are beginning to not want their governments.
Right. That's a normal progression. That's normal phenomena to happen when the realization kicks in that you are a slave and you do want to start.
I mean, the
start
system's
again.
broken.
But the education's... Go ahead.
The system's broken.
Yeah, it's well broken. Yeah. Yeah, it's well
It
broken.
does not work.
Uh,
Every time you try to deal with something, you're on the phone for at least an hour just trying to speak to someone and go through it. And then most of the time they want you to do it on the computer now, so you can't even speak to a real person. It's just incredible.
Yeah, I would agree with you, yeah. I mean, there are times when you want to find data, some data online, and you type in one thing and it's referring to something else totally unrelated to what you requested. You know what I mean? Which is really annoying.
Yeah, I bet they do that to you, Jim, with all the things you look up.
Yeah, they
Let's
do that all the
confuse
time, you know.
him. Let's give him some wrong information.
They do that all the time, and I'm trying all different ways of asking the question, all different ways. You know, oh, let me tell you something. Yeah, that was it. 2 weeks ago, YouTube took down my account. They didn't realize I had two accounts. They took down my account, right? They said the reason they took down my account was for spamming somebody back in March of 2021.
What?
March. Yeah. Right? So obviously I appealed that. I said, excuse me, that happened in 2021. It is now 2024. What are you doing? What's going on? And then they reinstated it the next day.
Wow, you're
Yeah.
lucky. They don't ever listen to me.
Yeah, they reinstated it the next day. And now I actually, when that incident was, I'll tell you what happened. That incident, and I didn't spam the guy, because we're talking about the Van Allen radiation belts, okay? And I'm stating that he was trying to say that it wouldn't, right, in the comments, because I commented on the video and I gave a good comment. And then somebody from the outside commented on what I commented on and started saying that I was a fool and that. So I commented back to him now. So now I'm having like a 3-month battle with this idiot, yeah? And in the end, I sent him links to my sources, and then he complained to YouTube, and it's taken this long for them to try and stop me. But no, that wasn't the reason why they took down my account. They took down my account was because I was watching about the Holocaust. That's why. Do you understand? And I was sending material related to the Holocaust.
Right.
That's all I'll say there.
What picture should I bring up now? Because I'm still on Syria.
One
Because you
second.
jump through so many things, I can't keep up.
Yeah.
As we're finishing, what do you want the picture to show?
Well, anything you like, you know? Anything you like. Sadiq Khan, the scammer. That'd be a good one.
So I just put governments.
Sadiq
I'll
Khan.
put governments.
Yeah, don't trust the government at all.
No, don't trust them. Well, to be honest, Jin, I've made another video about this. I looked up how many people lived in, I think it came up with Bracknell. One of them said 120,000, and one said, I can't even spell government now. One of them said about 80,000, but people voted was 40,000. And so basically, the Labour Party got 30% of 40,000, which means we have governments running us on less, like on 15%. I actually see that as a, it is, I can't spell, hang on. I see that as, it's basically, you know, that means we don't want them.
That's correct. It's a vote of no confidence.
That's
isn't
it. Vote of no confidence.
Yeah, that's right. Exactly that.
They're not talking about that, are they?
That's why I wanted to do this thing on the clean air thing, because they've just been scamming us. At the very beginning, it was necessary back in the 1950s, throughout the 60s, let's say, that today's car is clean, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, has been since 1993, when it was mandatory to have a catalytic converter fitted to your car. Everything else that's come after that has just been a scam. They're stealing the money. Okay, and remember what the Germans said. The German doctors stated categorically that there has never been any human being that has died from any exhaust fumes. Not one human being, not one. Not one. And you'd think if the air was that bad, there'd be thousands. Okay, there'd be thousands. And yet, you can watch a documentary about the British government, and it will show you ministers calling numbers like 30,000, 36,000 people dying from respiratory problems every year due to the smog in England. You know, just like that, just off the cuff.
Can I tell you something, Jin? Can I tell you something? My brother-in-law died of fumes, but what he did was, it's very sad, he put himself in a car and put a pipe over the end of the exhaust and put it in the car.
Yeah, that's correct. That's a suicide. And of course, that happens in Japan as well. People die that way in Japan as well. A form of suicide. And also accidental death in the snow, where there's been a snow blizzard, right? Like about 8 years ago. A woman and 3 children died in a small mini SUV, snowed in, and the carbon monoxide came into the cabin where they're in, and they all died, breathed in it, because it's a silent killer. You don't see it, and you die.
Well,
in your sleep.
Snow covered the car, didn't it, Jin? The snow covered the car, and they didn't have any fresh oxygen.
That's correct. That's what happened. It was the carbon monoxide coming from the engine back into the car that killed them.
Couldn't they turn the car off then?
Well, you see, this is the thing that is idiotic about the whole situation. First and foremost, they're living in a place called Hokkaido, and they should be they get so much snow every year. They should be well versed in the do's and don'ts. But this woman didn't seem to be knowing this, right? And the funny thing is, if she phoned her family, why didn't they warn her? So it's a case of
wouldn't it have got hot?
In this case.
Wouldn't it have got hot?
Please let me get this out, yeah. Death by stupidity. That's what was wrong there, because, like you said, had she had got out of the car and cleaned the front grille and cleaned out the exhaust pipe and have a little crack in the window, you know, in the car, they would have been alive today. But they didn't do that, you see. Mummy with 3 kids, you see, and she didn't know to do that. That was the problem. She didn't know to do that.
Wouldn't it have started getting hot, and wouldn't it some of the water around them, because of the hot, started to melt, and the car would have just packed up?
You see, what would have happened? It
Water
should have
would
happened
have got
was
in there.
every maybe 30 minutes, just go out and clean the front grille of the car, you know, and clean the exhaust pipe area.
Well, how
Make a
long were they
massive
stuck
hole,
in there then?
right? So that the exhaust can get out and then get back in the car. That's
How
all she had
long
to
were
do.
they stuck in it?
And they just, she just stayed in it
Yeah,
and
but
slept
Jin,
and died.
how long were they stuck in the car then?
They were in there all night, of course,
Right.
because it happened during the
Well,
night.
if they could
And
get
they died.
out, if they could get out and wipe the front thing, what, they all fell asleep and it did the same thing like what my brother-in-law did. It put the pipe in the car. It was like that. They fell asleep.
Well, basically, it's what happened. They got snow. They got trapped on the road, snowed in. Yeah, it was heavy snow, and the mother was lazy. She couldn't, or maybe I won't even use the word lazy. I think she
Why couldn't
didn't
they
know
open
what
the
to do.
window? Why couldn't they just open the window a little bit?
I don't know. Like I said, I don't think she knew what to do. Do you understand? Right? And she thought she'd be okay. Obviously, fell asleep and they died. Mother and 3 kids.
Oh.
Yeah. That was terrible, man. I said to my Japanese students, I said, I hope you learn from this ridiculous waste of life. Yeah, look at it. I did a lesson for the whole month on that topic matter. You know, to all my students, the do's and don'ts in snow. What do you do and not to do in order to remain safe? If you get trapped in a snow blizzard, how do you stay alive? Ridiculous. You know what I mean? Like you said. And if you're going to warm yourself, if you want to keep the engine running to stay warm, then you should warm yourself for like 20 minutes and time it and then switch off.
I would say
Okay.
though, Jin, if you were stuck in snow, it was all around the car. It's probably keeping the car a bit warmer anyway.
Well, yeah, but the thing is, you'd have to go out and clean the front grille and the exhaust pipe. Make sure
What I'm
that
saying is,
those 2 areas.
the snow would protect the car and keep it a bit warmer. So did they need to have their engine going?
Well, no, that's exactly my point. That you run the engine periodically. So you run it for 20 minutes, switch it off. You're nice and warm as toast, okay? And then once it starts to feel cold again, just before you start it up, you open the door, you go out, you check the front grille, clean the snow off the front grille, so you've got airflow going there, and check the
Could
exhaust
she
pipe
do
at
that
the back.
then?
And if
So
it's blocked up,
she couldn't
clean
have
all
been-
the snow from the exhaust pipe at the back of the car. Clean that up. You're going to have to use your hands. Your hands are going to get cold if you haven't got gloves or any tools in the bag. I've got an SUV.
So her
I've got a
car
shovel,
couldn't have. If
so I can do
if
that.
she could get out and do that, the car wasn't covered
Yeah.
in snow. She just got stuck in snow.
Yeah, the car was covered in snow.
Right.
In the morning, you could just make out the back of the Mitsubishi Shogun Mini. You could just make out that. They had to clean all the snow off the
blimey,
car.
yeah, okay,
It was
so-
covered in snow, completely engulfed. Okay, completely.
Right.
Yeah, and they died in it.
Oh, that's sad.
It is sad because when they realized that they were going to get stuck, what they should have been doing was opening the door, like I said, cleaning the grill, shutting the door, like you said as well, leave the window just a little crack in all 4 windows so you've got circulation there. And then start the engine, run it for 20 minutes, hot blast of air, switch off, and then just relax, talking and that, get your mobile phone on the go. Yeah, we're stuck, phone the family, and do that until daytime. But you've got to keep doing it every 20 to 30 minutes, run the engine and switch it off. That's what you've got to do to survive. And that way you'd survive, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
Right. That's it. Run the engine full blast, full heat, and then keep checking the front grille and the exhaust. You could run the engine idling because it uses very little fuel all the way. It would last hours. They could have been okay, but no, she didn't know what to do. She didn't know the protocols. You know, she didn't know the procedure to survive. Didn't know it. That's what happened there. And I'm surprised that the husband or any family member or even the emergency services didn't tell her what to do.
Or even
You
her
understand?
husband was ringing her and checking she was all right every now and again.
There you go. None of this. I don't know how. This is what I said to my students. How did this woman die? This woman died because of stupidity. That's what I said. And her children, very, very, very sad. Stupidness. This was a ridiculous death. These deaths should never have happened. Communication breakdown, big time. Yeah, I have a shovel in my SUV. Shovel is there, always there, just in case. You know, there's no way. I mean, I've climbed Mount Fuji 14 times, and I summited it 12 times out of the 14. The other 2 times I did summit was due to bad weather. So clearly, I'm not the man that's going to be dying in an SUV in a snowdrift. That's not happening. Definitely not. Ex-soldier as well. So you know what to do. You just know. When the training kicks in, you just know. Common sense. Common sense kicks in. But when you don't know, that's the result. When you don't know and you're surrounded by stupid people not giving you good advice to survive that, you're going to die if you don't know. So if you lack the knowledge, you will die in your car.
So where are we going next then? Because we're finishing. Was that because we were putting up last pictures and I've got cars with snow on them? But the whole point of this hangout...
We can just round it off at that, just summarise.
Well, the whole point of this hangout was for Jin to show you how ridiculous everything is. And the fact that there's a few more subjects that we can come back and talk on in a little bit.
Yes, we're going to continue this Awakening series, we'll say. Let's have a gripe series, okay, on our next one, because it will continue. We'll go into more, the cancel tax, for example, and how that was a rip-off, and how they try to do that here in Japan with me, and I totally didn't pay them what they were asking anyway. We don't have this clean air quality tax in Japan. Doesn't happen here. You know what I mean? But I'm sure if this continues in Britain and it's successful, they're going to bring it in. They're going to operate it in Japan as well. Because Japan likes to copy. This is why I'm angry. Because I'm fearing that they might start charging air quality and clean air zones everywhere. When in actual fact, it is your kitchen that's pushing out the most NO2 that you breathe in. Your house, actually. Especially during the winter months when you are using your central heating, for example.
That's another bomb in the house, isn't it, Jin?
Yeah, that is dangerous, of course.
But you don't see houses on fire because their gas boiler blew up, so...
Not often. It does happen, but not often. It does happen, mind you. In the UK, it does happen. The point is, ladies and gentlemen, is that you're not being killed by the nitrogen dioxide that you breathe in your house when you're cooking and running your merchant heaters and boilers to heat your home, especially through the winter months, okay? Right? You're breathing in much higher levels than the government safety levels for the streets, okay? You're breathing more, right? 30 to 40 times more when you check it out, okay? Okay, so the scam is there. There is your scam. NO2, nitrogen dioxide, right? That's supposed to be coming out of the exhaust pipe, which only 10% of it is coming out now with the catalytic converter fitted to your car, right? Right? They're just scamming you. Scamming. Terrible. Okay? And let me just highlight it again. You should be more concerned with the brake dust coming off the brakes on the streets, because that's higher pollutant if you're using asbestos brakes, if they still exist, and ceramic dust, okay? And then rubber tire particulates, tire wear. These are the things that they're not talking about. That's what they should be talking about. That should be a concern, more so than the NO2. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, you could go on for hours talking about this, though, couldn't you?
Yes, I really
I'm
could.
still stuck on the pictures. I'm still stuck on the snow.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, that's okay.
Yeah,
No,
I can't move on that
know,
fast because you go through too many things. I can't put the pictures on. But I have enjoyed that very much, Jim.
I was just trying to summarise. That's all.
Yeah.
I was doing a summary. That's what I was doing.
We haven't had a hangout.
I'm summarising what the British people and anyone who is listening should be concerned about, and that is, you are, like I'll say it one more time, you are breathing more NO2 in your house than you are on the streets. And the underground system, Transport for London, the underground there, it's 2,000 times worse than it is on the streets. And to add more to the irony of this is that whilst you're walking around on the streets, the air from the underground is being pumped onto the streets as well.
Also, Jin, there should be bags and bags of nappy wipes down there for people to put, like sanitizer stuff.
Yeah. And again, during the so-called lockdown, the last 4 years, right up to today, I haven't touched a single sanitizer. So all this going on, I never wore the mask once. Here in Japan, I didn't have to.
I'm the same as you.
Yeah, go on.
I'm the same as you.
Yeah. And I didn't touch any of the sanitizer stuff. I don't need it. My hands are clean. I've got clean hands. I don't want to then start pumping and getting my hands all wet again. I don't want to do that. My hands are dry and clean, thank you. No thanks. Straight in the shop. Do my own thing. So my protocol did not change over the 4 years. I just carried on as normal. But I lost some of my students because of that. Because I didn't change. Go ahead.
Jin, so we're going to sort of finish this talk now, but we'll be back soon, probably after Christmas, yeah?
All right, yeah,
well,
that's nice.
I'd like to,
in the new year.
Obviously we'll say goodbye off air, but I'd like to wish you and your family a very merry, whatever you want to call it.
Yes, happy festivities.
Does Japan celebrate Christmas or not?
That's a good question. Yeah, here in Japan, if you go to like the Tokyo area and all the cities, they have all the Christmas illuminations. They've got that going on, and then some people have Christmas decorations on their house. But the funny thing is, their Christmas dinner is on Christmas Eve. Would you believe? The 24th.
Right.
That's when they have the dinner.
The Danish people are a bit like that. They give out all their Christmas presents on Christmas Eve.
Yeah. And they have the party on Christmas. On Christmas Eve is when they have the big dinner and the big bash. So when I explained to them, no, Christmas Eve is the last day to get everything ready for Christmas Day, which is meant to be on the 25th. And they look at me and say, yeah. It's the same with the Valentine's as well, Valentine's Day. On Valentine's Day, it's the women that buy the men the presents, would you believe?
Oh, really? I can't move that fast. We're on the underground.
Valentine's Day in Japan, it's the women that are buying the men the flowers and the chocolates. And then you have White Day on March 14th is Women's Day. That's when you get the chocolates for the women. On March the 14th. So a month later. Isn't that odd? How did they get that wrong? I don't know. But there you go.
So, I wish your family a Merry Xmas, Christmas. Happy
festivities to you and your family as well.
That's the word. I couldn't think of that word.
And a right banging New Year. How about that?
Yeah, but I'd like
to... And that goes to all the listeners as well, who are listening as well. To all the listeners who listen to your channel and who have listened to this video, we wish you, from me and Cameron, we wish you a very happy Christmas if you follow that. If you're not following that, all good and done. Good holiday and a very banging New Year. Topo banging New Year, as the snobs would say.
But
you know what I mean?
Jin, I'd like to thank you.
Talking to you again in the new year.
I'd like to thank
your health, because your health is your wealth. Go ahead.
So I'd like to thank you though for all the effort you've put into making this chat tonight and all the subjects that you've covered. It's not just one.
Yeah. Brilliant. Yeah, we can do this again, no problem. I appreciate that. And I look forward to having some more with you. Yeah, I've got a lot more to talk about. I've done a lot of research into the thing. What I did here was I just skimmed it. Please make sure that they get the videos, yeah? You know the links that I sent you. Put those links in there. Will you do that?
Yeah.
Yeah, the links to the video, because I sent you three videos, and then we can talk about, the next time we meet, we can talk about the curvature and that high altitude balloon, because we were talking about that before, weren't we? We can go into that a little bit more.
Okay.
High altitude balloons, ladies and gentlemen, and the beautiful view that you get.
Yeah.
Oh, it's therapy. Okay.
Well,
Yeah.
thank you so much, Jin. I know, as I said, you could talk for hours and hours, but I do appreciate, because to be honest, I'm doing this hangout. It's now 11 o'clock. What is it for you? 7, 8 o'clock in the morning now?
It would be, hang on a minute, 7 o'clock, yeah. Just gone.
Oh my God, so you joined me at 5 o'clock in the morning?
Yeah, that's right.
Well, you sound nice and dandy, so thank you very much.
Well,
Early
because
riser.
I usually do my exercises, but I did mine late midnight, so I was okay. And it's actually, I gave you the wrong time. It's actually 8 o'clock right now. So when I joined you, it was 6 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, still
Okay,
early.
half
So
six. Half 6 in the morning.
I do appreciate
Was it
that.
half 6?
Yeah, no, 6. But I do appreciate that as well. But thank you for your time.
Yeah.
Thank you for coming on. Thank you for all the things you've talked about. Thank you so much, chat room, for listening to this chat. And Jin will be back.
We'll be back, yeah. Thanks, everybody. And it was 5:30, by the way.
Yeah, 5:30,
Getting
and we
5:30.
started at 6, yeah.
5:30
But
in the morning.
thank you, Jin.
Thank you. Thank you very much. No, sparrows fart, as they say. Get up early before the sparrows are farting, man. There you go.
Hey. Anyway, we're going now. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Bye, everyone. Enjoy the holidays. Happy holidays.
Bye, everyone.
Wicked.